You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Woo! This has been quite the week. And the week that we're heading into, okay? For those avid listeners, my core 200 that run immediately at that midnight hour, or those who are on the wee early Monday, you know what today is. Today is MLK Day. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Day. He is someone who I can look at as an ancestral frat. He's a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. He's now Omega chapter, as we say. But today is his day, and in observation and remembrance and reflection, I do not work on MLK Day. I don't work in any aspect. I don't do any labor on MLK Day. I take this time to just relax, to reflect, to just chill and be at peace. It is an extension of a 3-day weekend for myself, and I choose not to do anything. People will say, well, this is MLK Day of service. Well, the kind of work that I do as a journalist is of the public service, so therefore this is a day for rest for me. But some of you all who feel like you don't do enough community service any other day of the year, by all means, go out there and, help repair some of these neighborhoods, these broken homes, paint up a nice wall, make some nice care packages for people, put some stamps on some envelopes. I don't know, just if that's what you want to do on the day that you want to do it. But as a Black person living in America, my ancestors have been in service to this country for centuries. And as a result of that, I think this is the closest to reparations I'm going to get. It's going to be taking off on this federal holiday, resting and being well. You all are not going to convince me that this is the one day that we get. No one tells other groups and communities when they have their day that they need to be doing community service. No one tells the veterans to, right? Because the veterans deserve their rest, right? They deserve to relax on that day. So what is MLK Day about? Okay, what are we recognizing, right? This man's legacy, for whom and to whom were the descendants of this man's legacy? Yes, Black people, we're resting. Okay, so I am not doing any unpaid labor because, again, if you actually know the teachings of Dr. King, he was very much so about equity, right? He was very much so talking about fair, livable wages. We still live in a country where that is not a reality for a lot of Americans. So I just feel like if this is a paid day off for you, wherever you all are, take that paid day off and relax. Because I promise you that Tuesday and Wednesday and the rest of this damn week, they're going to work you, and whatever service that you don't quote unquote do on Monday, trust and believe you'll be doing it the next days and day after that. Teachers, relax. To my firefighters, to those who are out here doing the work, relax. Take this day to yourself. So those privileged billionaires, yeah, you go out there and you go do a day of service and actually put some money out in these communities. Don't just paint these walls. Put some money to make sure that they're good. I think the whole community service element of everybody needs to do their part. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I get really annoyed with these conversations around service, because if we're talking about equity, which is something that was essential to Dr. King, everybody want to talk about his equality stuff, but it was always equality and equity. It was always fairness. It wasn't just this idea of this color blindness that people have extracted from his speeches. It was about something bigger. And if you notice the days and months leading up to his death, he started to break into those conversations. And people forget that this man was considered a terrorist at one point by this government. He was not praised in the ways that he is now, the way that Republicans and MAGA and white supremacists like to weaponize his teachings. He was something more than just that. And if you really, really dive deep into his conversations, you'll realize another pet peeve that people often do is they'll do the whole, oh, be a Malcolm or MLK. If you really know Dr. King and really read him correctly, you will realize that him and Malcolm X were not polarizing opposites. They actually agreed on a lot of things. It wouldn't even be a Venn diagram. It was more about style and approach, but they really, closer to their deaths, had a lot in common. And that is why I argue they assassinated Dr. King, because he actually began to go more in a different direction than what people expected or wanted. They were not that polar opposites. And so when I hear people say things like, oh, I'm less Malcolm X, I'm less MLK, I'm more Malcolm X, I say, then you don't know who the hell you're talking about. Because those who actually read and follow the King's teachings and X's lessons know that there was a lot in common with them. And actually, the closer they got to their deaths or their assassinations, to be clear, the more they were more aligned. But I guess, we need to this is what happens when we start to reduce and we accept policies that create ahistorical narratives on history. When you stop teaching about slavery and civil rights and equal justice, and you call that woke education when it's basically an education, this is what happens. And so, just in case you did not know the following things I'm telling you, here's some quick fun facts to educate yourself. America was not here for Dr. King's, let me be very clear, let me say it again. The American government, was not all here for any of MLK's teachings on nonviolence or anything like that. Let's be very clear. America has and has since been a very violent country, and that the images that you all see or have seen during that time of Bloody Sunday still permeates in parts of America today. Those black and white images that they often show of Dr. King to make it seem like racism and these issues like that were such a long, long time ago. Y'all, it was literally 60 years ago when a lot of these things, even around 60 years, it was not that long ago. To put this in context, Donald Trump was in his teens around the time that MLK was assassinated. And he ended up getting with his father, doing real estate, and violating those civil rights, non-discrimination policies that MLK enacted. So while this man is being inaugurated on Monday, please understand that he might invoke MLK or reference him, but let's be very clear. This man was a teenager and lived in an era in which he was raised in an era that was ardently against a lot of the things that MLK wanted to be. And his father, Fred, was also a man that also wanted to push policies and enact discrimination that later on, many years after Dr. King's death, housing discrimination to the point that literally the government had to slap down their business, him and his father, real estate, and basically told them that you are basically violating people's civil rights, that you are participating in housing discrimination, and they actually had to deal with a penalty. That was how bad it was. At that time, we're talking the 70s, 80s, we're talking that during that time, before Trump was Mr. Apprentice and all this man was connected to housing discrimination penalties. So that's not that long ago. A lot of you all's grandparents, grandparents, well, if you are if you're a Gen Xer, your parents lived in this era. Grandparents lived in this era, know this era very well. It hasn't even been a century. So when people say it was a long, long time ago, it really was not a long time ago. We've been more years in this country enslaved as Black people than we have actually been quote unquote free. Just want to put some things in perspective. Because a lot of times when we talk about these black and white photos that they do of MLK, I also want to be very clear that there are lots of colorful photos of him that show him, because there were color cameras in the 60s. And so there's this obsession with making it seem like this era was such a long time ago that no one was around when these things were happening. Actually, a lot of people were around when these things were happening. Joe Biden was around. Trump was around. A lot of your Congress people were around. And still around. Still around. Like Nancy Pelosi. Okay? Still around when these things were happening. So it's not a long time ago. It's not that long ago. Just to put that in context. Because we got people in certain states that are still going to recognize not only MLK, but Robert Lee, a Confederate soldier, on the same day as MLK. They're going to be celebrating a Confederate, Robert E. Lee, a Confederate general. They're going to be still celebrating Confederate soldiers and generals while also celebrating MLK. So and also we're electing Trump Monday. Trump is getting inaugurated. He's getting inaugurated in his second term on MLK Day. So, just putting that there. Just putting it all in context for you. Moving along. So, this has been a week, as you all know. Last week broke the news around the 76ers arena not happening in Market East. And there's been a lot of talk and a lot of speculation. There's been lots of updates. I have lots of tea. I have lots of updates for everybody. We have so much to say. And it's so much to say. And we got a lot to talk about and catch up on. But I've been making several media appearances. I was on CityCast Philly podcast with Renee Nuri, who's awesome, and talked a lot about my coverage there. I've been cited all over national, local media. Shout out to CBS 3 and everybody over there for on broadcast news citing that I was the first to break the story. And just a lot of other outlets. Of course, Philly Mag, that's home. Of course, in their coverage noted it. And a lot of people just doing their part, because there's just a lot of racial inequity out here in media, and it's no room for that, especially when we see stuff in real time. So shout out to all of you all who've been spreading the word and just doing a damn thing. And this past podcast, this season premiere, season 8, episode 1 premiere, it broke into the top 80 of all news podcasts on Apple Podcasts. Okay, that's a pretty big damn deal. We did it, Joe. Remember that when I was funny, when this podcast first started, 4 years ago, and we did it, Joe, meant something else, and now it just don't hit the same. It don't hit the same. But anyway, yeah, so it broke into the top 80 of all news podcasts on Apple Podcasts. Because we're not on Spotify. Ever since Spotify decided to pay Joe Rogan $200 million, even after the fact that he referred to black people as monkeys and other racial epithets where he used the N-word so many damn times. Planet of the Apes, remember that disgusting joke? We're going to talk about jokes and why jokes are not funny no matter who people think they are to make them. But we'll get to that later on. But, after they said that, I was like, nah, I'm good on that. And we pulled this podcast off of Spotify. And we haven't gone back to Spotify. And this podcast has been able to thrive and survive after that. So I'm saying this because this is going to be a theme of something we're going to talk about later on this podcast about, TikTok. And I remember people were telling me, why are you pulling out of Spotify? Spotify this, Spotify that. I said, I will be fine. Because I would rather have my dignity and self-respect before I would ever cow down to any of these applications and these places that are the way they are. So I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. But nonetheless, it's on Apple Podcasts. It's doing really well. Thank you all for downloading, for sharing the word. The thousands of you who have supported this podcast and continue to let people know what's great. Episode 1 of season 8 was the most listened to episode in the past 7 months. Actually, beyond those 7 months, it's been I think it's the most listened to episode since Ernestly Speaking Special Edition, when I talked about Trump visiting NABJ convention in July. So it has been the most single listens, downloads, which is saying a lot, because we hit 100,000 during the epic 200th episode. So that is saying a lot. And I don't always share my numbers because, different, ding, 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 ding. Not doing all that, but we're in a new lane is what I'm saying. We're entering 2025 in a new lane. And I think a lot of you all can feel it. I mean, just based on the way people have been engaging on social media and people have been talking about the show and just a lot of stuff. We're in a different era of this show. I've waited a long time for us to get to this point, and I'm so happy I've been consistent. But we're getting in different lanes. I mean, I refuse to sell episodes. I refuse to make you all pay for a subscription. But if you notice some ads in between per episodes, it will not be too many, but a brother's getting paid. Let's just say that. Brother's getting paid. But at the same time, this is to make sure that you all do not have to pay for a subscription. So understand that free ain't free. Well, it is. But if you just noticed a couple of commercials, not going to be too many, but a couple of commercials, just understand that the money is moneying, but it is so I do not have to charge you all. Because if I charge you all a subscription, I know you all pay, but I do believe in information being accessible to the people. So there has to be, because there's a bunch of horrible podcasts out here in the world with misinformation, disinformation, and just a bunch of conspiracy theories. And what inspired me to actually create this podcast 4 years ago, 202 episodes later, right, is because I was sick and tired of seeing specifically a demographic of individuals that look like myself that were on podcast mics saying a bunch of bullshit. And they were making money off of it, but they were also getting thousands upon thousands of people to listen. And they would spread this information. And I said to myself, well, there must be a counter, right? Where are the smart people? Where are the smart millennials on podcasts? Where are smart Black voices on podcasts that are not all women? Because there's a lot of Black women who have incredible podcasts. But where are the brothers? It needs to be more of us. And not just those who are commentators, but actual journalists. Where are we in this space? Independent, right? Unfiltered, unedited, right? Because a lot of them, that did podcasts, like remember Don Lemon before this Don Lemon, episode. But like, remember Don Lemon had one, but it was through CNN, right? So CNN edited it. It censored some of the things he could say. A lot of folks have them, but they have them through companies. But I was like, where are these smart, independently produced Black male podcasts that are speaking on these issues in a very fact-based perspective with analysis, data-driven points, and some really smart commentary and reporting, right? Where is that, right? On a local level, right? Because somebody's got to speak to Philadelphia in a way that is nuanced and makes sense and isn't necessarily controlled by corporate entities. And that was always important to me. And the only way you can do something like this, you have to make it accessible to the people. So I will never charge for this podcast. And I've said that 4 years ago, and I say it 4 years later. I will never charge you off for this podcast. It started off as a labor of love. It is still a labor of love, but now there are opportunities that will allow me to be able to produce this and get some money, which is nice. But it will not at all impact, because at the end of the day, the people who are running ads, they know what kind of podcast this is. They're not necessarily going to, if they don't like what I say, they can go. It is not like a situation where I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to change my content, because I did this with no money, just me. And, if folks decide one day, oh, I don't like this, I don't want to do it, I don't care. I don't do this for money. The money is whipped cream on top. Like, people could put their ads and things like that. I approve the ads and things. But if they say, you know what, this show is a little too pro-Black, too pro-LGBTQIA, pro women to whatever, and they say, I want to pull an ad out. Cool. All right. That's cool. Take care. Bye. Like, I'm not stressing. This is, I just want to be very clear. Nothing is forcing me to change the content or anything like that. But because we do have a stronger, following, and there's been consistent growth and build, there's new opportunities for certain advertisements to come on the show. And so if you hear some ads in between episodes, not episodes, yeah, in between, parts or whatever, don't sweat. Don't think it means the end of the world. It's just, it's just what it is. So just wanted to put that full-fledged disclaimer there, because I know how it gets. But nonetheless, this has been a great week. A week full of interesting, shocking, bizarre, questionable, but nonetheless interesting times. I started my week back at CCP teaching. It's been great. 3 courses. All I got to say is I'm happy I did my lesson plans, my slides, and everything in advance, because coming in, nothing feels like going into a classroom where you could be able to know what's on the agenda before you walk in. When I first was teaching, I used to sometimes, when it was just 1 or 2 courses, I could just, feel like, okay, I can wing it a little bit. I'll just, With 3 courses and with students from various walks of life, you got to come correct. You got to come correct. And this semester, I have fully engaged students. I have students that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and someone in their 50s. I even have students in their teens. I have a 17-year-old student who is currently in high school, but they're taking CCP courses. So I have people in their teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Okay? I got Gen Xers. I got Gen Zers. I got millennials. That's it. Those are my 3. I think that is it. Yeah, those are my 3 generations. Yeah, I got a wide range. I got people old enough to be big brother, uncle, daddy. Nobody old enough to be, no one at the age of grandpapa. But we got ranges here. So I'm teaching a class like this. This is a very interesting experience. We got cross-generational students in in each of my class. So it's not even like I can call them kids, because many of them are adults. So it's very interesting, and just to see their opinions and their viewpoints and how they work with each other is going to be quite fun. But yeah, that was great. CCP has been wonderful. Got my office keys. I like my office. It's chill. And I like where my office is located too. Not that that's going to be, I'm going to disclose where that office location is at, but I like my office and I like where it's located. But yes, I also want to say something this time with CCP. One of my good friends, actually, Chris, had brought this up about this generation, about there's a thing, and anybody who's a parent, an uncle or auntie, or a big brother like me, who have noticed this, but it just seems like my Gen Zers, they prefer text over calls and in-personal meetings. They really will rather do things via text message. If you call them, it feels like they're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Is everything okay? They're like so detached from phone calls. And even I know some millennials like that. Like, I don't always want to get on the phone and talk, but I feel like because of my line of work as a journalist, I actually am trained in some situations to be on the phone, because according to Pennsylvania law, right, it allows you cannot record a phone call. A third party cannot, without the person's consent. So sometimes as a journalist, when I like to take phone calls, especially off the record phone calls, both sides on the call can have that call and know that it is confidential. And there is almost like a trust barrier in place, because if it's in person, it gets a little weird, because in person people can record and phones and all that kind of stuff. But when you're on the phone, you legally, you cannot, even if even like evidence, right? If you record and you do not get their consent, it can't even be used. So people prefer phone calls. I prefer phone calls. And sometimes, to be clear, unless it is something that is very specific, like what time is it? It's 6 o'clock, or what time is the party? It's at noon. Unless it's something where it's based in fact, I will prefer to do it in text, right? So don't call me and say, hey, what time is the meeting tomorrow? Man, just text that, right? But if it's a phone call where we're talking about a real personal situation, I do prefer phone call. Um, I don't like to text because sometimes things do not translate. Tones, vibes. All I know is that unless you like, I only like to do group chats and conversations with close friends because we can know each other's tones and we know each other well enough where we will not do all the other stuff. So you just got to know the tone pacing. But yeah, a lot of younger people I've noticed are oftentimes prefer text over calls, and it's just a thing. And I think part of it is because they're so antisocial that they really just don't really like to. I mean, it makes sense because even when I think about some of my students, I've taught over the years, Gen Zers specifically, it will be like, okay, so how's your day? It's good. And then you want to get more out of them, and it's like, it just takes a lot. I'm like, well, this is how you are in person. I can only imagine how it's like to be on the phone with you. So it makes sense that they like to text. Like they like to put everything in text, which also was interesting because they're also the same group that writing and reading skills are like all over the place. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out like how to navigate that. Like you like to text, but you don't like to write. Listen, 2025 education is another beast. That's all I'm going to say. We got to show up for these babies and we got to make sure they're good because there's a lot of things there's a lot of contradictions. That's all I'm going to say. So over the weekend, I was in Baltimore. Mr. Johnson and I took a nice little weekend escape to Baltimore, which is not that far from Philly. You all know I love a good little overnight stay, little weekend getaway somewhere near. Like I love when I get to go to Delaware. I love Baltimore. I love even some of these suburbs, that's out here. I love an Atlantic City trip. Like it's nice to do an escape from the city sometimes. And so we got back before it got really crazy with snow, but we made it in time and it was so lovely. It was such a nice weekend. We were in Baltimore. Baltimore was pretty dry. There was no snow when we were there. Everything was pretty chill. We were there for Dr. Parks, my good bestie Amanda. We had a nice little couple's birthday celebration for her, and it was lovely. We had a nice time. Okay, we went to this restaurant called Singali, is what I'm calling it. That may not be the right pronunciation, but I will spell it for you all because a lot of you all like your restaurant reservations from recommendations from me. It is Cinghiale. I'm saying Singali, but it could be something else. But it's Italian. It's a lovely Italian restaurant. Great pasta, great dishes. Very fun wine place. I had to get me a good old glass of red, decanted or aerated. I got the glass immediately and got to go through several great courses. The antipasti was incredible. I had a duck, that's my signature. It's like if duck or lamb is on the menu, I'm always going to get it. Because that's just my way of like, I don't want to get anything that I can cook at home. So it's very seldom I'm not cooking duck at my house. And I'm not cooking lamb at my house. Like I'm not going to cook a nice, juicy lamb loin. I feel like that is where you go to a restaurant experience. Now, I can cook and I have cooked duck before, but I just feel like dishes like that, you're not going out of your way to go, where's the duck at? It's like that is very seasonal. And it's also something that is very, to really cook it well, it takes a lot of preparation, a lot of time, right? Versus chicken, I'm just like, I can always cook chicken at home and there's only so many great ways to cook a chicken that it's like, it's chicken, right? What else do I don't go out and get? Like turkey, but they don't really do turkey often, but like chicken, turkey, salmon. I avoid salmon. I can cook salmon at home. I don't really get salmon when I go out. Like if I go get a fish, it's got to be like a bronzino. It's got to be like a snapper. Like it's got to be something that is like an upscale elevated fish. Like I'm thinking, swordfish. I'm thinking, really, ahi tuna. But like salmon, catfish, flounder, like that I can do at home. So everyone at the table, really definitely did their big one. Mr. Johnson loves to get chicken sometimes. But to be fair, this was like a really stuffed, I think it was a stuffed chicken. I forget, it was like stuffed with some other things. Like, okay, if it's a stuffed chicken and it's stuffed with like capers or I don't know. I want to say crab, but I feel like crab would be stuffed in the salmon. Like if you got a stuffed salmon with like, you know, something like that, I could see something like that. But just the typical chicken breast dish, I know they have to have it on the menu for a reason because of basics, but even when I go out to dinner now, I don't even do short rib. Not that I could cook short. I mean, short rib is a good a crock pot dish. Let's be for real. But even now, I try not to get short rib when I go out because I feel like that is the typical like hotel ball gala dinner. Y'all know what I'm talking about for those who go to hotel galas. Okay, like it's always that weird cut chicken, like that weird French cut chicken where it's like the leg is half off, the wing is taken off, but the chicken breast is cut. Like, you know what I mean? And it's got that weird, like, carrots nearby it, and it got the little puree with that little dollop of, like, they call it potato puree, but it's, like, really basically a very, very watered down mashed potato. Like, you know those dishes. And it's always either that weird chicken, you might get a salmon dish, or it'll be like a short rib situation if it's really, really fancy. But, I tried to get an experience that I can't get anywhere else. So I had duck, and then my pasta dish was a lamb ragu. So I did get what I want. I did get the lamb, and I did get the chicken situation, and it was fabulous, and it was such a good time. She had a really great birthday. The wine was incredible. It was a good time out. We also that night went to the Pendry, which I love Pendry. I love that area in Baltimore by the harbor. You got the nice, riverside views. You got the nice dock experience. I feel like it's peak Baltimore over there. And we went to Pendry for some late, like a little nightcap. We had some cocktails, and then we went to our hotel, which I stayed at the Sonesta this time around, and it was a really nice hotel. And Mr. Johnson graduates later in May. He's getting his master's from Johns Hopkins, so that's where the Baltimore connection also is. And now Dr. Parks and Joe, they live in Baltimore now. She left me in my building, and they left me in our building, and they moved off to Baltimore, which Joe's from Baltimore, where they don't call a dog, they call a dog a dug. Dug is dug. Like it's a Baltimore accent, but he's like a dug. And I thought he was saying, I said, say dog, Doug. He said Doug. I said, say dog. He said Doug. I said, okay, so it is just Baltimore. But, Baltimore accent is very strong. You think a Philly accent is strong. Philly accent is strong, but Baltimore accents are strong as well. And it became very clear to me throughout the time. But yeah, it was a good time. So Pendry was great. Let me tell you the one thing I will say about Baltimore before I get into this fabulous brunch I had the next day on Sunday. Let me say this. These taxes in Baltimore, there's like liquor taxes and everything, and they include on the bill. It is crazy. They got like a city tax, a liquor tax, New Jersey, like those, not New Jersey tax, Baltimore, a Maryland tax, a Maryland liquor tax, and they have a city tax on liquor. They have taxes for everything. They have a rain tax. Like, it is crazy. Okay? Look, Philly with the soda tax is wild, but Baltimore or Maryland with these taxes, listen, Governor West, Moore, Frat, I need you to figure this out. I need you to figure this out ASAP, because that right there was crazy. Okay? Listen, I was looking at the bill and I was like, okay, I guess gratuity's already added. No, there was no gratuity, because what I thought was the gratuity was actually the liquor tax and the city tax. I was like, whoa. Okay. Look, I don't know. I only knew about Baltimore through The Wire and through all of those lock bar restaurants by Atlas Restaurant Group. Because, Lit Brothers, we all went to Baltimore. You remember we went back in 2023. And, that was a great trip. And clearly I was not looking at the receipts. Clearly it was a different type of trip. But but we was looking at the receipts. We was like, whoa, these taxes. So yeah, watch out for that. You definitely encourage you to go to Baltimore and check out their great restaurants and the experience. But watch out for them taxes though, because them taxes surprised us. But Pendry was cute. The cocktails were very nice at the hotel. We wanted to, we're grown. We didn't want to go to a nightclub, okay? Then I heard about this black-owned business called Black Swan. But I heard Black Swan cocktail drinks up in there is wild too. $35 drinks and stuff. What they think this is? Taste cheesesteaks? Oops. But no, we went to Pendry and it was very nice. That's a very nice hotel. It's like a resort. It's huge, but it's gorgeous. But we had some nice cocktails then. The next day, we went to brunch at Blue Moon Cafe. That was a great brunch. They have delicious, okay? Their French toast situation is impeccable. Their food is very, very good, very reasonably priced, very affordable. It reminds me of Sabrina's, but with a little bit more flavor and more cozier. Okay, but cozier and everything. Now, the other thing, like Sabrina's. Now I'm talking about the Sabrina's. Well, I think all the Sabrina's like this, but the Sabrina's in University City near Drexel, they don't do reservations, so that can be a thing. But what I will say is that their turnarounds are really good. So they will tell you it's like a 20 to 30 minute wait. But fortunately, because we were there on a Sunday and it was a little bit, this is before it was rain. It was snowing. So there's a little bit of rain. The vibe did not give off that it was going to be a busy day. So our wait wasn't actually that long at all. We pretty much got seated in a timely manner. And the food was great. The service was good. And I really liked it. Now, the other thing about it, though, was I don't think they had liquor because they didn't have a bar. And the other thing is, because this is also not Pennsylvania, that's the one thing I will say about this that I peeped. They didn't have a bar. They didn't serve liquor, right? But the gag is, that if you were in Philadelphia, right? If we were in Philly, a brunch spot without a bar means what? Ding, 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 ding. BYOB, 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 no BYOB. So that was fine. We didn't need the drink. It was chill. We had orange juice, we had juices. But in my mind, I was thinking, man, if we had a Blue Moon Cafe in Philadelphia, well, number one, Philadelphians were ruining it. The influencers were ruining it. Y'all would just ruin it. It wouldn't even be fun. But, like, if we put it, let's just say it was back in the good old days of Axum. Y'all remember Axum? Who remembers Axum? I know Nina listens to this podcast remembers Axum. I know Abel remembers Axum. I know a couple of y'all remember Axum, okay? Axum is still open, but Axum does not belong to Saba anymore, and this is no longer the Axum we know because they got a bar now. It's a sports bar. It's a hole in the wall. It is not what it used to be, y'all. Don't even go. Don't even go. I'm just going. I gotta say it. Don't even go. It's not giving what it used to give. Okay. And guess what? There's no more gold standard either. So just in case you thought you was gonna make a trip back to University City for brunch and you was like, no, don't even go to Axum, and you can't go to Gold Standard because that's been shut down. So where can you go? What's left? That's good. Some people will say Booker's. I'm not going to say. I'm going to leave that alone. I will say Renata. Renata's is still good. And Renata's is in a bigger, better place. It is no longer over there across the street from where Axum was on that little strip. They've moved a little bit up where the trolleys are. And they got a real big, spacious location upstairs, downstairs. Plenty of room. Really great food. They got the same cuisine. It's very Middle Eastern, Palestinian cuisine infused with their brunch menu items. Very good food. And I actually went there last fall and was very impressed. So if you're looking for a good brunch spot that still reminds you of the good old days back in the early 2010s, Renata's is where it's at. And let me make a little joke about Renata's that does not have anything to do with Renata's, but I'm going to still make this joke. So back in the day when, people used to be in situationships, let's just say that, I used to remember the joke of like, everybody used to go to Axum to be seen. Because if you went to Axum, it was like, I don't know, it was like Carbone in New York City, but University City edition. Like if you wanted to be seen on the strip, you go to Axum. You would go to Axum and you would dress cute because it was always people that's going to see you. You'll bump into an ex. You'll bump into a, professor or a lawyer or somebody from another school. Like you will always bump into somebody you know. And Axum, Black owned, the vibe, the culture, it was the spot to go to. And it was BYOB because they have a liquor license. So people would come up in there with big ass bottles of Prosecco and all kind of shit. It used to be a good ass time. Right? You would want to be seen. So if you was booed up with somebody and you wanted to show off your new girlfriend, your new boyfriend, whatever your little thing is, you would show up to Axum and you would have your friends there. Like, or you would catch somebody. Because that used to be what I used to do. I used to go with my homegirls and we say, girl, did you see so-and-so? Isn't that her dude? Why is she with him? Like, you just would see everything at Axum. Now, pro tip. If you was a dude that was out here in these streets and you did not want to get caught up, you would never go to Axum. You would go to Renata's. Renata's was smaller, tighter, no pun intended. And you would go there, and both of them were BYOBs, but it would be low key. So there was this one guy I was dealing with, had no business talking to when I was at Penn. This was years ago. It was an upperclassman. I was a freshman, and we had a little thing. I never forget. He hit me up and he was like, "You want to go out to brunch or something?" It was like the next thing. I was like, "Oh yeah, let's go out." He said, "Where you want to go?" I said, "Oh, we should. Oh my goodness, we should go to Axum." I'm just being all cute. He was like, "Oh, I know a better place." Child, he took me to Renata's. Now let me say this: Renata's was and is great. The food was good, but he wasn't telling me that because he wanted me to go because he didn't want me to go to Axum because he didn't want to he didn't want to be seen. He was he was a player. Okay, so did I get played at that time? No, because I didn't pay for that breakfast and I had a good time nonetheless. Okay, we're reclaiming our time. But all I'm saying is that when I went to Renata's, I I was impressed with the food. The food was good. And to be honest, both of them were good at the time, honestly. But if I was impatient with Axum, I would go to Renata's. But Renata's always my ducky spot. Like if I was with dudes or whatever and I was, on the low and I wanted to get fed, I would go to Renata's because Axum's a little too high profile. So that's what it was. Now, Renata's today, baby, Renata's is a public, baby, Renata's is the spot, okay? They got an upstairs, downstairs, multiple floors, all of that, okay? They're not BYOB. Are they BYOB? I don't know if they're BYOB still. But I also want to add too that Renata's Kitchen that's on 3940 Baltimore Avenue. What I will also add about that place is that they also do dinner. It's not just breakfast or brunch. They have a brunch menu, they have a dinner menu. They do drinks now. So they do have a bar now. Let me say they have a bar now. They used to have a bar at the old location. They now have a bar now downstairs, and they got margaritas. They're selling margarita pitchers. They got all types of stuff going on. They got sangria iced teas. They got blue crushes. They got palomas. They got rum gingers. They got maple old fashions. The bar is pretty popping here in Nada. So I will say that it is the spot to go to. And I am a fan of that place. So you should definitely check it out, in my opinion. I will definitely encourage you to consider it. Go for all your needs. I wasn't expecting to praise Renata's like that, but sometimes you gotta remind the people. And they are still a family-owned business and they're doing their big thing. So I just have nothing but high praise. But Blue Moon was great. Blue Moon was a great brunch spot. Shout to the Royal Sonesta Harbor Court. That was a great hotel. But yeah, Baltimore was fabulous across the board. Now, I did go with my younger brother, the Temple Senior. We went to go see Michael Jackson musical in Philly. I've been telling y'all this show has been packed every time. Like people, anything with Michael Jackson. I mean, he is what black. Okay, I mean, he is one of the greatest of all time. Let's be clear. But the way that white people go up for Elvis, old white folks go up for Elvis, I feel like that's how older black people go up for Michael Jackson. Like there is a cult, okay, of Michael Jackson stands. I mean, young people like Michael, right? But the way that older black people that he is like what Elvis is for older white people. I am convinced. Um, that show was packed. Everybody was there. We had great seats. It was a great musical. I don't really have too much critiques about the show itself. The performances was great. The actor who played Michael Jackson was phenomenal. I mean, his dancing was ridiculous. I mean, incredible. The music was wonderful. The show was great. The storyline was cool. The only thing, my only little note, is that there is a little bit of revisionist history in the way in which they went about telling that story. So it is, without giving too much info or whatever, but it's set basically during the Dangerous World Tour in 93, when Michael Jackson, arguably, that was his last great tour, to be honest. I mean, after that, and I will say that what was beautiful about this production is that they did a good job of like putting it in a moment, but being able to make it biographical without having to do the linear story. So what I thought was beautiful about this set is that Lynn Nottage, who was an incredible playwright, she's a great black woman playwright, when she wrote this book, for this musical, it's set during Michael Jackson in a crisis, right? And we know what was going on in 93. Well, let me clarify this. Gen Xers and boomers, you know what I mean by he was in crisis. Millennials, older millennials might know it, but let's bear with me. Michael Jackson is 93, Dangerous World Tour. Michael Jackson is in crisis. There is a lot of stuff happening right now. There's a there's child molestation allegations, financial, his health is deteriorating, he's got family issues. There's a lot going on, financial issues with Neverland Ranch. This tour is the make or break of what can make or break him. Because at this point, Bad is was one of the greatest grossing tour at that time. And he's basically, people are starting to wonder, can Michael Jackson keep up the pace? Can he keep up the success? Can he maintain? It's a lot going on the line, with the way the music industry is changing, rap is on the rise, people listen to different music. So Michael Jackson's relevance is being called into question. There's a lot on the line, and he has to deliver with this tour. But it's beautiful how they convey that, right? But what's also happening is that we're seeing a lens, right? We're seeing Michael reflect on his past. And so there is a lot of flashback scenes and moments that let us know how Michael became to be up until that point. But then there's also what was interesting and compelling about it was that you're seeing these interesting things he's picking up during a Dangerous tour that kind of sets us up to see what happens in the future. It was brilliantly done. It was creative how they was able to convey it. So, for example, they talk about the pain addiction during that time and how his body was deteriorating. And we know that, years later, this would lead to his death, right? The pain addiction, the pill addiction, all that coming with it. They also kind of talk about his habit of being very meticulous, overworking himself, being a super perfectionist, and how he was putting a lot of pressure on himself physically. That shows up in This Is Us, right? So it was beautiful how, in some ways, this little moment in time where Michael is at his prime, it ends in a beautiful way because we all know it's almost like you're biting your nails being like, okay, how does the Dangerous tour end, right? But you all know it's going to end well, but you also know that for the story, it's a great way of being like, we see Michael pull it off with the Dangerous tour, but then you also had that moment where it's a little bittersweet because you know that this is going to be the prime of his entire career at this point. So it was just a lot of emotional tugging. It was interesting watching it with my 21-year-old brother. I am 33, so there is a major age gap, right? Michael Jackson died when my brother was 5 years old. Michael Jackson died when I was 7 years old. So put that in, when I was 17 years old. He died when my brother was 5. Michael Jackson died when I was 17. So I spent enough time knowing how iconic Michael Jackson was. Like knowing even the hardship Michael Jackson had. My brother at 21 did not know a lot. So that it was interesting watching him watch it because it was almost like he was learning about why Michael Jackson is great. Like he knew he was great, but he didn't realize how great Michael Jackson was. And I think some people didn't realize how many barriers that man really broke. Like, being a Black artist, breaking into MTV, to have the highest selling album of all time with Thriller, to win 8 Grammys in one night. Like no one's done that, right? To be able to change the trajectory of what a pop artist can be and is. Like no one like that, like no one can, like when people talk about LeBron and Michael Jordan, I always tell people that's how I look at Beyonce and Michael Jackson, right? MJ will be the GOAT in both of those situations, Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan. But we also need to recognize in our era that the greatest living athlete playing in our era right now is LeBron James. And the greatest performer of our era right now, in our generation right now, is Beyonce. But we got to remember that there are certain titans, right? Is she on that Mount Rushmore with Michael Jackson? I think so. I believe so. She's in there. She's up there with Prince. She's up there with Madonna. She's up there. She's earned her place. That we will not dispute. You go dispute with somebody else. You go play with somebody else. Because what I'm going to tell you all is the longevity is there. Sis got that longevity. Sis has the evolution. Sis has the consistency. Put her up there with Stevie Wonder and put her right next to Mariah and put her right there next to Whitney Houston. She goes up there. Okay? This is not up for discussion. I don't care what these other podcasters are saying. I don't care what nobody say. Beyonce is up there. We have followed this woman's career for over a quarter of a century. She has had a song on the Billboard charts every year for 25 consecutive years. There's never been a year Beyonce was not on the charts in some type of capacity. This woman has more Grammys than anybody. Everybody. Okay? She has more Grammys than everybody. Okay? She has been able to sell and get number one hits in different genres of music. Pop, country, rock, soul, gospel, R&B, rap. She done did it all. Look, Taylor Swift has done some great work. Taylor Swift is definitely a pop type. I'm going to say it. Taylor Swift has surpassed Britney when it comes to pop girls. I will give her that. I will say Taylor at this point has surpassed Britney. And I know that's going to break a lot of our hearts, y'all, because she can't dance. But the impact of the pop girls, she has passed Britney. Britney's still an icon. We're never going to take that from Britney. But I will say it's safe to say at this point that Taylor Swift has surpassed Britney when it comes to pop impact. But I will tell y'all, she ain't topping Madonna. Okay? Madonna is mother of those girls. Let's be very clear. Madonna is mother of those girls. Taylor Swift has not surpassed Madonna, baby. Okay? That's her Michael Jackson. She wants to chase up too. See, everybody got a lane. Y'all don't do it right. We shouldn't be saying Beyonce versus Taylor Swift. Those are two girls that are goats in their respective lanes. But we had to pick one. We already know who the answer is. So don't play yourself with that. Okay? Because my fave was selling physical records at platinum, baby. Physical. This whole album sales equivalent shit, sit that down. Because if we want to talk raw numbers, knock, knock, who's there? Adele. Adele that entered the chat? Okay. Just saying. I'm just saying. Because Adele got the record, baby. Adele sold 3.5 million records, albums, physical album sales, no streams, with 25 in the first week. Nobody in the history of music has done that. Nobody. So even if you want to do the sales comparison with Taylor Swift and albums, you're going to have to go defer that to Adele. But them tours and ticket sales, you can't take that from Taylor Swift, baby. She got people out here in this economy buying tickets. I thought that's why I never believed the argument about the eggs and the milk, because I saw too many white girls out here going to the tours. Who had the Taylor Swift money but didn't have the eggs and milk money? Because let's be clear, she was going all over America. Okay, she was going in areas that Beyonce wouldn't even go to. Taylor Swift's national tour was all across America, and she was packing up stadiums. So I'm just trying to figure out, did y'all not have the egg and milk money? I'm just trying to figure it out. She had stadiums with 60,000 people. I'm just trying to figure out where she didn't have the egg, where y'all afforded the Taylor Swift tickets, but y'all didn't have the eggs and milk money. Because she did that in all of 2024 and 2023. So I'm just trying to figure out who didn't have the egg and milk money that y'all said the eggs were too high. But them Taylor Swift tickets was going up, though. And y'all had money for that. Y'all, listen, y'all stop believing them. Stop believing them people. They playing in your face. Okay? And y'all know what I mean by those people. Cause I for 5 seconds, listen, okay? Just saying. I'm just doing the math. The math is not mathing. Cause it wasn't like we was up in those. Okay, let me listen. If you somebody that went to the Taylor Swift tour and concert and complained about the price of eggs and milk, I don't take you seriously. And neither your followers. The end. Um, so moving on. Fun plug. Um, if you're listening to this episode on Monday, Fatal Attraction on TV1, I have some cool news. I am going to be on there as a contributor on Fatal Attraction on TV1. Now, for those who have been following my journey in journalism and media, you should know that I have been on TV1 programs in the past. Well, apparently they love me enough to keep bringing me back on. This time, I'm going to be on Fatal Attraction. Now, the show I was on prior was For the Love of My Man, or For My Man was the show, which they have this, like, listen, there is a true crime fan base. And a lot of you all that listen to this podcast, I know a lot of you are true crime fans. Y'all love investigation discovery. Y'all love these type of shows. What I love about TV1 is that they do true crime shows, but they're with Black stories that involve Black people. So For My Man, I used to love this ratchet ass show, because For My Man would be crime shows about Black women who would do whatever for their man. It was like the Romeo and Juliet storylines. So I did an episode that came out last year and did For My Man. Well, they brought me back to do Fatal Attraction. So Fatal Attraction these are all true crime stories, by the way. So these are all true stories where it involves people that's in love with a person and they're into them and this and the third. And it leads to death and it leads to some bloody murder mystery story, whatever. So a lot of times what they will do is that if you are a journalist that was based during that era in your city, so if there's a Philadelphia crime or a crime that takes place in Pennsylvania or something, they will bring you out to talk about the crime if it happened. And in some cases, they will bring you out to talk about something that might be related to your beat or your coverage. So I was brought on to do this one. This one is called Unmasking a Monster. And this is part of season 16. So as you can see, they've been having this show for a long time. This is season 16, episode 4. So set your DVRs. This episode is going to premiere, I believe, at 9 o'clock on Monday night. But set your DVRs in advance to watch this episode. For those, again, who want to know, it's on TV1. It is Fatal Attraction is the name of the show. The episode is season 16, episode 4, and the episode is called Unmasking a Monster. And I already set my DVR for it already. So if you are trying to figure out on Comcast where to go, it's easy. Just voice on the screen, TV1, and then put in or you can just say Fatal Attraction, and then they'll have upcoming shows, and it will show up as an upcoming episode. You can set your DVR to watch it. So can't wait for you to see the episode. I will be watching it for the first time at home in my living room on MLK Day. I'm super excited to see what it's giving. So stay tuned, y'all. It's gonna be fun. And also stay tuned for me on more episodes of Fatal Attraction, because I also did some other episodes. Stay tuned. But just want to tell y'all that. Now let's get into these hot topics, because clearly we got a lot to talk about. So Trump's inauguration. Well, before we back up. Biden, farewell. Former president. I have to now say former president. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm saying this. Former President Joe Biden, before he left the White House, did some big things. He ratified the Equal Rights Act, ERA. He didn't ratify, but let me clarify. He acknowledged it into law, which has been something that has been fought for decades. I talked about this in my book, The Case for Council Culture, around Phyllis Schlafly. If you all saw the show Miss America, this was what that was about. So if you saw Miss America, which was this interesting series, I think it was called Miss America. It was with Kate Blanchett played Phyllis Schlafly. And the show was called Mrs. America. Sorry, Mrs. America. That's what it was, Mrs. America. And it tells a story of the movement to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment, the ERA, Equal Rights Amendment. An unexpected backlash that came from conservative women like, Phyllis Schlafly, who was considered the sweetheart of the silent majority. Beautiful series. It was on Hulu FX. You can stream it. and check it out. But it was great. It came out during the pandemic, and I watched it during the pandemic. It came out in 2020, but it was one of my favorite roles by Kate Blanchett. She is an Australian actress, of course, but she plays an American woman like Phyllis Schlafly, and she ate. Also other great actors that was in that show, that was also wonderful was um, Uzo Aduba, who played Shirley Chisholm. Rose Byrne played Gloria Steinem. Sarah Paulson played Alice McRae. There was a lot of great actresses in this. Margot Martindale, who I think is an underrated actress that plays in a lot of TV movies. She played Bella Abzug. Betty Friedan, who is an incredible writer. Tracy Ullman played her in this. Great cast. Okay, great cast. Everybody named Mother was in this, and the acting was great, and the storyline was wonderful, and I really encourage people to watch this. I mean, John Slattery is even in it. He played Fred Schlafly, who was Phyllis Schlafly's wife. But Kate Blanchett did her big one. This was definitely, she would have won Best Actress, in my opinion, at the Emmys. But you know who else was out and who took that from her? Kate Winslet. And y'all know what that was, what Kate Winslet was in, okay? Because that right there, that performance and that Mayor of Easttown, oh my goodness. Do y'all remember Mayor of Easttown when we was addicted to that during the pandemic? Do y'all remember that? We were so addicted to that. I mean, that was just, such a good show. But I digress. But yeah, it was just an era of great TV. But yes, that let's just say that after many years of that fight, Biden, our former president, finally acknowledged it, and now it is considered enough. He says there's enough states that can fully ratify it, and so he considers the law of the land. But we'll see what happens. The ceasefire happened as well. We don't have to worry about Trump, quote unquote, letting Israel, quote unquote, finish the job. There has been an agreement. The hostages are being released. There is going to be some level of stability, I guess, some level of peace in the Middle East. But after all this bloodshed on both sides, hostages are being released. People are getting peace. There has been a ceasefire agreement made. And I wonder, I have theories about this, opinions about what I'm sensing. I've read in some pieces, in some journalism, some reports, that people were saying stuff about how there was a level of Mad Men fear, if that makes sense. And what I mean by Mad Men, Mad Men fear is that there was this sense that Trump, both sides were fearful of Trump. One, the fear that Trump was really going to really increase some serious damage to Gaza. And so I do feel like there were some people on the Hamas side that probably was like, look, this is going to, like, they was not playing with Trump, right? So I think the fear of Trump may have sped up this ceasefire deal. I also think, too, Israel, the way that Trump has talked about military foreign aid, there is a sense that maybe Trump would have put his foot down and not have given as much aid to Israel, in some regards, because of the way that he's been hawkish on funding wars, right? He was critical of the money that was being given to the Ukraine. And now we see that the Ukrainian war is kind of flattened, right? Some people consider it a success. Some people say, could Ukraine get more Russian territory back? But what we do know is that there is a level of sovereignty, diplomacy, that Ukraine maintained its level of being a country, right? Because there was a fear that Russia was just going to take it all. So, Zelensky has, I'm going to say this sounds a little ungrateful. I mean, we're talking over $180 billion from the government, from the U.S. government, that's going to the Ukraine. And he is basically saying, in so many ways, on one podcast I heard, Zelensky said something like he doesn't want it to be like whatever this Trump administration do. He doesn't want it to be the way the Biden administration was. But I'm like, excuse me, but you literally got over $180 billion in foreign aid for a war that, there hasn't been. I mean, like, what do you think that Trump is going to give you that much money? You think that the United States government, you think taxpayers is going to be okay? Like, I mean, you're talking about you don't want whatever Biden was doing. I'm sorry, but 100. Let me tell you what 180 something $billion would have did. Billions, okay? Not a million, not 180 million, over $180 billion went to that war. And you're sitting over here talking about some, like, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. Because I'm not saying I don't support people helping, but I just feel like what an ungrateful slap in the face when you hear what Republicans have said about the Ukraine war. You think Trump is going to be better and do more than that? Huh. You're going to find out, Zelensky. That's all I'm going to say. But that was very ungrateful. I understand that, you didn't get everything you wanted, per se. But to say that, to slight Biden, it's just interesting how a lot of these countries and a lot of these companies, and even some of y'all, are really doing Biden a certain type of way because Trump's coming back in office. Like, Trump gonna do better. Y'all gonna fuck around and y'all gonna find out. But that really took me aback. And it made me kind of say, you know what, fuck it. Because that $180 billion, you know what we could have did? We could have fixed, we really could have ended hunger in the U.S. with that money. We could have done a lot with that money. Because it don't even take that much money to fix nationwide hunger like that, actually. We could have allowed free lunch for everybody. And let's not talk about student debt, since you want to talk about this ain't enough, Zelensky. I know some other things that would have been enough. Student debt in this country could add a major dent. So you might want to fix yourself and fix your moody attitude. Because that's just not okay. I support helping countries in need, right? No one should be terrorized. But don't bite the hand that feeds you. And I think a lot of these countries are getting a little too, come on now. And let's also be clear, Biden never made any material promises around the war for them to even be acting like he wrote this bullet point list. Okay, you're not in NATO. I get it. But check yourself. Before Biden also left, he did something really big. He did clemency for nearly 2,500 people. He granted clemency to over 2,500 people. He even pardoned Marcus Garvey. He did some nice things before he left. We could talk about timeliness another day. But look, what we about to get in the next coming days and weeks and whatever, listen, there are some things that I will be forever grateful for. I think a lot of people sit up all day and do their big one. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are reacting in ways that is very concerning. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think that, we gonna see some interesting things take shape. So it's a lot. Where there is something, I'm gonna take my time with this, because this one right here, we gotta take our time and make sure we get this right. So, as you all know, Trump has an inauguration. We know that Trump's inauguration is going to be, it's been a shit show already. For starters, the damn inauguration is so cold that he is doing it indoors. We know that Michelle Obama, forever our first lady, is not going. That's what it means to stand on business, y'all. Y'all said she should have went to President Carter's funeral. Yeah. But at this point, I think she didn't want to sit nowhere near Trump. I think she's resigning herself from politics. I think that she's like, you know what? I'm tired of being nice to people that's not nice to me. And quite frankly, there's nothing that Michelle Obama can do to make any of you people like her or hate her at this point. There's nothing that she can do that can make me mad at her, to be honest. At this point, I protect your peace, queen. I get it. I understand. I am at that point with certain things in my life. There's just some stuff that I just refuse to participate in. And I'm only 33. I mean, Michelle is definitely much older than me. And I can imagine at this point in her life, she's fed up and she's tired. And so she's like, you know what? I'm just not participating in any of this. Now, other people that are not participating, there's a lot of elected officials who apparently are not going to be going to the luncheon. So Obama, I hear the Bush, the Clintons, they won't be going to inauguration luncheon. A lot of people are pissed off with the Trump inauguration thus far, a lot of his own supporters, because the plan was they're supposed to be outside. And to be real with you all, they're saying it's cold in DC, but there's been colder, apparently, inaugurations, and there were still crowds that showed up. Fun fact, I was in the cold in January of 2013 when we heard Beyonce lip sync the national inauguration. Me and my good bestie, okay, Jamarcus, we went to inauguration together. We wanted to be a part of history, and we heard Beyonce do the national anthem. That was the controversial one where she lip synced. But I mean, if it was that cold, you too would have probably lip synced. But we was there for our president. Okay, I got to go to a presidential inauguration. That I forget about that a lot. But I literally went to a presidential inauguration. I bared the cold and saw Obama, a black man, be inaugurated into the White House. And I was a part of that large ass crowd in 2013. Wow. It felt like it was almost another time in the world. It almost feels like, what country are we in? Somebody literally said they went to go see Hamilton recently, and they said it felt like a throwback. Because Hamilton is actually going to be turning 10 years old this year. The 10th anniversary of Hamilton is upon us. And people said even watching Hamilton now feels like a throwback, like almost like a throwback to a different time in our society when democracy seemed more pleasant. We had a black president in office. Hillary was coming up to run for president, and it just seemed like the future was bright. And to watch Hamilton now just feels like such a relic. Like the stuff they were talking about, the ideals of immigration, like it just feels like such a time in the past almost. It feels like it's dated now, to be honest. You know what doesn't feel dated? And I saw it earlier. I saw it last year. Les Mis. Les Mis aged well. I'm just going to say that. Let me just say that. But back to this inauguration. It's indoors now. All of the guests, the people that got tickets, those tickets are non-void. You can't do anything with those tickets, y'all. So y'all can go pack those tickets up. Apparently the tickets are non-void. So a lot of guests who booked hotels and things in DC, they're frustrated. Apparently there's going to be Capital One Arena space for them to watch it on a Juggotron or a Megatron or something. But the luxurious access they thought they had, they don't have. The only people that can come is Congress members and senators and their plus ones, and that's it. But everybody else really cannot go. It will be taking place indoors in chambers, and there's limited access to the public and to anyone who is not a government official and whatnot. So this is going to be a very interesting inauguration. I don't remember the last time we had an inauguration indoors. And not probably during my lifetime, at least to my memory, right? So this is very telling. Now, people are speculating that it doesn't seem like it's because of the code. It seems to be two reasons. One, he might fear that there will not be as big of a crowd, so he cares about crowd size. And also, a more serious note, people think that there might be a potential security risk. I mean, look, he's already been, it's been 2 times prior. And I mean, I wouldn't play with a third time, right? So possibly his security, it might be a security risk that they might have intercepted. But nonetheless, it will be indoors. And so that's going to be taking place. There's been a lot of talk about performers. Y'all, I'm not about to do, listen, I don't know. Okay, Carrie Underwood's performing, blah. Snoop Dogg, Nelly, Soulja Boy, Rick Ross, 504 Waka Flocka, I think was speculated, but they're all performing. In some way, they're showing up for Trump, okay? It's disappointing on so many levels, but, I mean, you got men who've been accused of rape and have settled, like Nelly. You have a man with a history of misogynoir, like Snoop Dogg. You have men who made rap songs like slipped the Molly in her drink, she ain't know it. Rick Ross. You got men like 504, you got irrelevance like Soulja Boy. It doesn't surprise me that any of these men are performing. It's disappointing, actually, but not too surprising. So let's not say we're not shocked. But I'm going to read you something that came out in 2023. I'm going to read you 2 segments of this because a lot of y'all kept DMing me like, oh my goodness, what do you think about this? And I'm like, Well, let me read 2 passages from a very great book that continues to sell nearly 2 years later. Here's one passage. Who could forget when R&B songstress Chrisette Michele was canceled after she performed during the 2017 presidential inauguration of Donald Trump? Michele, who was a Grammy-nominated artist, lauded by the Black community for her vocals and authenticity, was shunned and considered a traitor by fans who viewed the 45th president as a racist. She told the Washington Post that she thought she could, quote, be a bridge to uniting the country that was still reeling from Trump's 2016 victory. Michele received death threats, suffered a miscarriage from stress, lost a record deal, and had her music rejected by radio stations, among other personal and professional setbacks. Meanwhile, hip-hop heavyweights such as Kanye West and Lil Wayne backed Trump throughout his infamous presidency, and while they were both criticized by progressives, they continued to achieve commercial success. Next passage. The amount of power a person has or doesn't have when they enter the council zone will also play a part in the outcome. The culture that may expect women to walk a certain line may allow men more leniency. As I mentioned in the introduction, Chrisette Michele got canceled for performing at one of Trump's inaugural balls, while Kanye West, who had more nefarious ties to Trump, was treated with more nuance, grace, and empathy. In fact, West, who had long-time connections with Trump while he was in office, Michele only did one performance and later made it clear she was never a Trumper, often received public sympathy, regardless of how he defied his audience's political views. Progressives and conservative thinkers latched onto the belief that West, a man who once called out George W. Bush in 2005 as someone who, quote, doesn't care about Black people, was worthy of care and concern as he struggled with mental health issues. You all, that was the first passage was from chapter 1, and the second one was from chapter 6, entitled, okay, Not All Cancellations Are the Same, from my book, The Case for Cancel Culture, that was published in February 2023. So, in other words, duh. Not surprised. I'm not going to go in on Nelly, his veneers, Snoop Dogg, his foolery, coonery. I'm not going to talk about the rest of those other irrelevant rappers that I don't talk about any other time. Y'all know who they are. They're showing you who they are. And also, Nelly is not backing down, okay? Nelly is not saying I'm ashamed or I'm embarrassed. Nelly says, look, I stand by it. He feels like he should. He says that he's a performer. He is doing his job, and he compared himself to when soldiers fight for this country. He says, look, he didn't go to a campaign event. He said Trump is, what is Trump? He said Trump is the president of the United States and Trump is one. So that is it. He says, look, it wasn't a campaign event where he was supporting a candidate. He also noted that $1.5 billion that was in the Harris campaign, he said they didn't pay for Nelly to come out and him to perform. They never reached out to him. This is the man who once said in a famous song, hey, must be the money. I mean, it's clearly must be the money for him. And it's so crazy because I felt like I was just talking about Nelly and his hits a couple of months ago. What a shame. He mentioned that, when making his shade, he was naming about, oh, y'all said Trump's a white supremacist. He said, show me the proof that Trump's a white supremacist. Nelly, you could have stopped right there. He said, well, wait, was it when that time, he said voters weren't Black enough? Was it that time where he started naming problematic racist things that Biden has done? Listen, he ain't lying about that. But still, Let's be for real here. Nelly, you fucked up big time. And I also want y'all to know that I appreciate some of you all who are doing the thing that other people don't do. Ashanti, listen. Y'all love Ashanti. And I've loved me some Ashanti. Ashanti's married to Nelly. I tell y'all that these spouses, okay, when it comes to these types of things, these spouses, unless Ashanti puts out a statement and says she does not condone her husband's behavior and that she does not support that, then y'all understand that this woman is standing beside her man. And to be honest, I wonder if Ashanti would have been invited to perform, would she have done the same? And y'all already know how he would have done. Look at that good African-American, Trump would have said. And if Ashanti would have got her ass up on that stage and showed up and took a picture with Trump, we don't know if the pictures are there, he would have went far enough to say that she's better than Beyonce, okay? Because we already know where Beyonce stands on this. All I got to say is hip-hop has been failing us. Black men in hip-hop have been failing us. And the hypocrisy of it all. Either they disappoint us by not saying anything, like Kendrick and Drake, or they do say something and it's in the opposite direction. You know, Snoop is very telling because people try to figure out why Snoop did it, because Snoop was vocal about this stuff. The thing about it is that, again, I'm not giving him an excuse, but Trump pardoned the founder, one of the founders of Death Row Records. And so I feel like that's the same thing with Lil Wayne, with Kodak Black. Trump pardoned a lot of these dudes, and a lot of these people are getting their favors back. So look at Mayor Eric Adams. He probably somewhere looking for a Trump pardon. They didn't have a meeting. Okay. So I'm just saying, stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. So moving along, there's been a lot of talk about Senate appointments. We're still seeing what's going on with that. You know, that Pete Hegseth situation is still unfolding. We saw that horrible hearing by the only black man that really got a position in Trump administration with the appointments is the director of HUD, Housing Urban Development, that black guy who's that former NFL player. Let's just say that his hearing confirmation setting was embarrassing. He does not know what he's doing. He's not prepared for this job. It's going to be a hot mess. There's other Senate appointment hearings that we're hearing about that's unfolding. We're going to see how this plays out, if it ever plays out. We'll keep our eyes on it. But I just want to let you all know that I did keep an eye on what's happening there. There's been some interesting back and forth because, you know, we talked about Pete Hegseth, who I think is the more questionable guy that seems like everybody is uncertain if he's going to get appointed or not. You know, he's been in the news, Hegseth, about this appointment. And a lot of people are, you know, Tim Kaine went the hell in, though. I will say that, you know, because we all know that he is the Trump nominee to be the United States Secretary of Defense. And that's a problem, right? You want this man to be the United States Secretary of Defense? Like, that's crazy. He's 44 years old. You know, he's got the scandal and the babies and the affairs, the accusations of rape. It's wild. So a lot of people are saying that some stuff is happening here. As far as Donald Trump, people are saying it won't get better like for our boy, referring to him. It won't get better, you know, for him. It looks like it's going to get worse. You know. Yeah. So we'll see how this plays out. But it's not looking good for him, you know. Pete, you know, yeah. We'll get there. So it's a lot of people getting impacted by this. I mean, Senate Democrats, I mean, how are you getting yourselves out the wilderness right now with everything going on? I'm even looking at some of the stuff happening elsewhere. You know, Mike Johnson has set a bad precedent, you know, because all this stuff going on with the California wildfires. I mean, my goodness. My goodness. Which brings me to my next point. I've been following a lot of stuff going on with the California fires, the grifting, people out here taking advantage of people that are houseless, black neighborhoods like Altina being impacted. The attacks on Karen Bass, who's the LA mayor, has been very telling. I'm hearing that maybe Bob Iger or Robert Iger, who is the big chairman and CEO of Disney, might be considering allegedly an interest in running for mayor of LA. Listen, is that what y'all really want over there, guys? All of these white elected officials that's been dogpiling, not even white elected officials, celebrities, like they're coming after this black woman. Like Hollywood is divided, right? Black Hollywood is coming out, especially black women in Hollywood. Tina Knowles and others are coming out defending Karen Bass against a lot of people attacking her in the press and just coming at her. But the Kardashians, you all know they're salty because that wasn't who they wanted for mayor. And so they've been making these little attacks at her, talking about resources, even though we all know that the Kardashians, specifically Khloe's ass, was known for wasting a lot of water and resources. And you're talking about firefighters and things, but stop using all that goddamn water for these damn houses that you barely are in, okay? Like, they are the notorious for wasting resources, but they're the main ones trying to criticize what's can happen to these fires. I just hate that in times of tragedy, people politicize things for their own interest. But I mean, what can I expect? Because that's just the way American society has been built. But it's just like, at a certain point, you gotta separate the fact from the fiction, and also recognize who's talking, because it's like the main people that should be talking. I mean, listen, celebrities lost their homes too and was messed up, but I really want to talk to people who can't afford to repair and rebuild as fast. To talk, because this is what happens, right? So what? All these rich ass celebrities and these houses, are y'all gonna get your money together and try to put in a new elected official that's gonna kowtow to your political demands over the people? We'll see. But I wasn't a fan of that. I just want to make that very clear. So I'm doing some things differently. I'm gonna make a separate discussion on TikTok. I have some things to say about that. But let me get to local politics. So that 76ers, arena press conference that took place last Monday, I was present. I was there. At this point, a lot of people are trying to figure out what's been going on. Let me just put this in some real consideration, some good context, because I feel like common sense is not always that common in our political climate, okay? So let me back up real quick and really unpack some things, because I've been following the bullshit and I'm ready to say some things. The new pivot, which I predicted, that is coming from city council, coming from the mayor, and also some things. So let me before I get into the pivot, let me lay down some of the major revelations that came from that press conference. So I went. It was on Monday morning. After I taught my class, I came down. I was definitely the man of the hour. Everybody was coming up to me, telling me we all here because of you. Because that's true. My breaking the news sped up the timeline where the press conference got moved. Because I think the plan, okay, this is my theory. But at this point, they'll never tell us the truth. But from what I was sensing and what I was hearing, now that we've come out of the fire, was that the plan was that news was supposed to trickle down around Monday, and the press conference was going to be on Tuesday. Because I broke the news very early on Monday, that made everything have to be recalibrated so that they could do this lousy ass unprepared press conference on that Monday. So here's some of the revelations that came out. The mayor was blindsided. They did not tell the mayor. Comcast and the 76ers, with the assistance of NBA Commissioner Adam Silver and other partners involved, they did their own deal. They did their own arrangement, and they did this without consulting or conversing with the mayor. They left the mayor out, right? Conversations between the 76ers and Comcast, when they start to patch things up, really began to start around December 1st when, who was it? Brian Roberts went to a Commanders game with Josh Harris and 76ers players. Like, there was a conversation. Apparently, Adam Silver, I think, was like, let's bring people to the table. Let's get people talking. basically trying to ease some of the tension. And so they began to have soft talks in early December to see how this played out. From what we have gathered, when they began to start patching up their relationship or sitting and talking, okay, they never told city council that such conversations were happening. No one from city council, including the mayor, knew that they were talking. Because let me be very clear what this early conversation tells me now, with this context, is that Comcast was opening up negotiations. They may not have established it, but there was an opening, which meant that there was a plan B in consideration. During the midst of all this shit that was going on, hearings, arrests, all this damage, all this shit, not one time did the 76ers decide to say, hey guys, just want y'all to know, we are talking to Comcast. I mean, take your time. What's the rush? And maybe, I don't know what would have happened, but it looks like our beloved 76ers, and I say that sarcastically, said, no, baby, I'm a dog. I'm a mutt. Maybe that was the way they wanted to go about addressing this situation. So they had this rendezvous at this Commanders game that I hadn't noticed. But everybody just was like, oh, it's just billionaires being billionaires. No, baby. Brian Roberts don't go to no Commanders game with no Josh Harris, and y'all don't go, huh? But people just, didn't pay no mind to it. So the deal gets done, right? Everybody sees the deal. And then immediately after that deal was done, those last 2 weeks of December, this is coming straight from them, they began to talk out a new plan understanding. In other words, what should have even happened then was 76ers should have told the mayor, or at least told city council, thank you, but no thank you, but this deal ain't shit. They did not. They were not happy with the deal. The fact that they immediately went to Comcast to negotiate something different meant that that deal that was in place wasn't it. So for those last 2 weeks, they worked on a deal amongst themselves to not include city council, not include the mayor, to not give a fuck about that community benefits agreement, that CBA. They just did what they wanted to do. And what took 2.5 years of back and forth, fear, controversy, division, they got done in 2 weeks amongst themselves. And so then, apparently, the mayor found out last weekend. City council found out Saturday, right? And then crisis mode began. I know from close sources, which I guess at this point, nobody want to question my sources because, that administration was struggling. It was complete anger, frustration, emotion, stress, embarrassment. And at that press conference on Monday, the mayor, on the Founders Day of her dear sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, rather than wear red and black, she wears green. I get it. Cleanest, greenest city, whatever. But still, choices are made. So I'm looking at this press conference. I come, and y'all know I barely go to press conferences. But if I was the reason why the press conference happened, surely I should come. You have Brian Roberts there. You have the mayor. You have Council President Keada Johnson. You have Ketsi Lozada from City Council. And you have Councilmember Isaiah Thomas. Those were the only city council members that stood beside the mayor alongside Ryan Boyer, of course, from the building trades. You have Wanda Sykes, who is an advocate for the WNBA because it's now official. Philadelphia wants to try to get a WNBA team to come, and most likely it will actually happen now. You also have Josh Harris, who's there, who was sick, but was still there. Anyway. And then calling in from Zoom, you have Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner. He calls in from Zoom. you notice that other members of city council are not there, right? Jim Harity's not there, even though he was in the building, and we did chit chat after the press conference. He is pissed, by the way. He is very pissed. He was outside smoking a cigar, and we had a little chit chat, Jim Harity and I. He's angry. He says he feels like he was a pawn. He says that, he had meetings with these people and they told him that there was under no conditions and circumstances going back to South Philly. He's talking about the 76ers people he spoke to. He said that, he felt he's pissed because he definitely got a lot of community people to get behind this. He's in the Northeast, these workers, there's a lot of people that they got to answer to behind this. In the Northeast, I hear is pissed. There's a lot of uncertainty, right? So he was definitely not going to stand beside the mayor. And apparently, there's been talks of, what was I hearing? Abatements, probably coming up, potentially. Now, that's not going to happen, but there was threats of abatements and stuff being happened to these businesses. There was going to be entertainment taxes being given to these arenas and stuff that was going to be proposed because they wanted to make these people pay because they felt like they were being fucked over. Well, they won the phone call, and I believe council member Harity got that phone call ASAP because he was ready to raise hell. I believe Harity was mad. He should never support that arena. But at the end of the day, he's mad about it, right? So survivor's remorse, a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork expressing their frustrations, but it's just a little too late and I can't wait. Listen, JoJo said it best, baby. All the right things to say, it's just a little too late. That's actually my favorite song by JoJo, actually. I know y'all like Leave, Get Out. That was cute. But everybody know the real JoJo fans know Little Too Late was the better hit. Because it was a level of maturity on that second album vocally that wasn't on the first album. The first album was good too, but that single, baby, that was a song. That's a hit that stick like grits. I can listen to that shit. I listened to that shit yesterday. Like, that song still hits. I'm just saying, JoJo did her big one. She always good with me, okay? An unproblematic fave, okay? JoJo, see, in a world full of Karens, be a Kelly. In a world full of Johns and Joes, be a JoJo. I'm just saying, JoJo just... Okay, moving on. Anyway, so I'm noting who was there beside the mayor. Catherine Gilmore Richardson was not present. Cindy Bass was not present. Anthony Phillips was not present. Like, a lot of folks were not. Now, State Senator Sharif Street and Vincent Hughes were there, but they didn't have to vote on it, right? But it was very interesting who was at that press conference and who stood beside the mayor and who did not show up for the mayor. But look who showed up, though, Isaiah Thomas. So he is once again standing on business with this. Okay, teacher's pet. That's my nickname for Isaiah, is teacher's pet. Teacher's pet, teacher's pet. Because to me, you still gonna sit up there and stand behind this shit? Clown alert. Bring in the clowns, they said. Send in the clowns, okay? What is going on here? A disappointment, I'll say that. So, okay. So we get to this point, we get to this interesting point in the story, this journey, right? Where we're all everybody's trying to figure out, where is, what's happening? Where is he going? What's up with the plan, right? They're there at the press conference. The plan is that now it's going to be a $2.3 billion project. We now know that the arena, the 76ers, Comcast has bought some stake in the 76ers. The 76ers and Flyers are going to now share this arena. There's going to be another space that's going to be happening for some other recreational stuff. Maybe that's where the WNBA is going to play. I don't know. But it's going to be bigger and better than ever. New opportunities, new money, new jobs. Building trade is going to be happy. Okay, cool. So, of course, the journalist asked the questions that you care about. First was Jeff Cole. Jeff Cole had asked about Market East. What's going to happen with Market East? Apparently, these billionaires plan to do some investment in Market East. We don't have any details on what Market East is going to be. They don't know what it's going to be yet, but Market East has still not been solved, right? But the mayor did say that it's not going to be like the good old days where y'all used to call about the Lip Brothers. Hey, keep our name out your mouth. I'm joking. The Lip Brothers department store back in the day. The days of Woolworth and all this stuff where she used to get a hot dog on a counter somewhere. I don't know what she was talking about. But she just basically said that they're going to modernize. It's going to be more modern. It's not going to be the old department store, the Macy type of stuff. It's going to be something a little bit more modern, more of our current era. She kept talking about this goddamn battery that she saw in Atlanta. I'm like, oh my goodness. You've said this 5,000 times. Are you going to put a battery in Philadelphia, this thing? Like, oh my goodness. Like, be for real. But anyway, the mayor has a big dream, I suppose. She talked about that. She talked about, making these comparisons to other modern cities and, all this jazz. But she's hype about it, right? But she couldn't give specifics because she doesn't know what the specifics are because she was out of the deal. Okay, my question was second, which she said was a very good question, which I agree, and we can agree on that. I asked her, okay, there's a lot of, Black leaders, clergy, community people, right? Because you ain't heard nothing from Pastor Crawday. Y'all know that Pastor Crawday went a little quiet on all this. He's just doing his ministry. He just keeping his head down. Why? Sir. You got to speak up, sir. Say it with your chest. No. You need to talk about how you feel about this. Where's your statement? You had all this hooping and hollering, all this. See, this is why I need pastors to go back to the pulpit. See, this is why, you know what I used to say, get on the court. Listen, I say that facetiously. I'm not saying pastors need to stay at the pulpit. I'm just saying that if you're going to get involved in these politics, you got to have a little bit more consciousness for the people. That was ungodly to sit up here and say, forget Chinatown. That was unchristian-like, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about Pastor Crawday specifically. Don't y'all go there. Don't y'all, see, there y'all go. Because I could be talking about Pastor Waller. I could be talking about the vicinity, the Black clergy that keep getting it wrong with these endorsements and their support. I just want to say that there is a level of humanity that I expect from clergy, period. Okay? A level of humanity that you don't get to say, well, the Asian community didn't do this, so this is what you don't do that. That's not Christ-like. If you're going to call yourself a Christian, okay? I'm just saying. That's what your teachings say. What do your Bible teach you? Because it don't teach you an eye for an eye. You should never play in politics that's going to pit you against other people. There should be a little bit more compassion. I saw clergy people that supported this, knowing the harm it was going to bring on that community. And some of those clergy people, not naming no names, said some very divisive things. I said, what would Christ do? You think Christ would be in favor of the arena? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that that there would have been peace. I just don't think that's it. You could talk about racism and talk about issues in Chinatown, but you're painting a broad stroke on a group of people. There should be no way that you should ever put consumerism and capitalism. See, y'all spending too much time with billionaires and not spending time with your Bible. I'm just saying that the same people that told me that I was up in some ivory towers and I need to be out here in the streets like I was not already on the streets were the same people that was out here with these billionaires at these chicken dinners, you know what I'm saying, getting money for the community. And at the same time, not considering the people, all the people. So all this talk about Black men. What about Black women? What about the people? I'm just saying it was some very questionable things being said in these streets by people that I was expecting a little bit better from. I'm not saying that you can't have opinions. I'm just saying that when you're representing a certain type of way of life, there's just a certain way you should conduct yourself in the public eye, because some of the behavior was just not given men of God. I'm just saying some of this behavior was not giving NAACP behavior. I'm just saying that the NAACP that I know, they wouldn't be making these types of deals and playing politics like this. Because that's for the national advancement, right? For people of color. They didn't say for black people. For people of color, that means Asian people, Latino people, black people. Like the NAACP represents people of color. But I guess some of y'all forgot that too. Okay. It's a lot of interesting conversations. We talk about the African American Chamber of Commerce. What were those other chambers saying? Why were they not in agreement with this arena deal the way that some people were? We talk about coalition building. We talk about solidarity. That's all I'm saying. I just saw some hypocrisy, some contradictions. And the proliferation and continuation of said contradictions, even with this new deal, is sus to me. But what do I know? What do I know? What do I know? So back to my question, because I digress. I said a lot of black leaders, community leaders, were lobbied by city council and by the mayor and by the 76ers to take a position on this. And a lot of them risked their reputations on the line and credibility on the line in the name of this community benefits agreement that no longer exists. How do you make those people, what is there going to be another community benefits agreement? What is the future of that? And how do you do that to make sure that these people's advocacy and work is not in vain? In a nutshell, her answer was, we start from scratch. And she literally verbatim said, start from scratch. They literally said they're going to have to start from scratch because pretty much now that this is no longer in the city's hands, it now becomes up to really what the damn 76ers people want to do. Like, it's not even, the city can't enforce this now. Like, the whole agreement was predicated off of a community benefits agreement based on zoning. Now that that's been squared away, they don't have to even have the arena there. It was never permanent or a guarantee. It wasn't like they signed a contract and said we must do it. It was always an option. Which is why I always ask everybody, what was the other option? Because there was always a plan A. If there was a plan A, there was always a plan B. But they wanted to convince us there was no other option but this. And that was a lie. So the mayor says that they're going to start from scratch, but this time it won't feel like a lot of work because she claims that now that they already kind of understand and know what community partners want and need and this and the third, it won't be hard for them now to move forward on new initiatives. But see, that's a problem. And this was asked by a reporter from CBS 3 Philadelphia. That in a nutshell was saying that, look, you're up here with these powerful men. These are billionaires. These are very powerful men. And how do you trust these men again? Pretty much. How do you trust that they're going to do the same thing after what they did to you? And they asked, did you feel blindsided by this? And the mayor, and what in my mind was one of the most disappointing quotes she's given, even though people gave her a standing ovation, but I felt like it was not a good look. She said, although I was at the meeting before the meeting, I am still the CEO of this city. People clapped. I said, in my mind, I said, oh my God, why? I had a face that was like, whoa. To me, that wasn't a moment to clap. I thought that was a moment to go, huh? Because if you are the CEO of this city, and if these men do respect you, then you should be at the meeting before the meeting. And matter of fact, you should be resetting the damn meeting. There should be no reason how anybody in this city can go over your head and make decisions and tell you about it at the last minute if you're the CEO of the city. What this entire circus of a press conference showed me in real time is that our mayor does not actually run this city. Because if she really did run the city, arguably, then there would be no way that she could sit up beside them and smile and tell everybody this is a win-win for the city. Because at the end of the day, is it really a win-win for the city? Everything, first of all, it tells me that the mayor doesn't have power because you're supporting and backing this plan, this new plan that you was blindsided about. You don't even know if this is going to work. And you're already giving it the city stamp of approval? What? Like if I was the mayor, okay, if I was a city council president, because he looks like a clown right now, what I would do is I would have had 2 press conferences. I would have had one that would have established what my position was, period. I would have did a press conference to explain to the people that I had got, and this is what I'm not going to take. Like, there should have been a separate press conference just for the mayor to get all her shit out and explain what she knew and what she didn't know, to lay it all on the table, to reset the room. And then they could have had another press conference to let these billionaires explain what the hell they're trying to do. But for this mayor to do a joint press conference and let this be the press conference on this issue, thumbs all the way down. It was ridiculous. It was an embarrassment. It was the most, it has to go down as one of the top 5 worst mayoral press conferences in Philadelphia history. I still give number 1 to when, well, there's several ones actually duking for number 1. But when this mayor basically had to put egg on his face and have to acknowledge that him saying he didn't want to, he can't wait till he was done. Listen, I just cannot. But I will say that the number 1, the one in the top 5 was just this recent one. It was not prepared right. I mean, the messaging was off. Everything about them was trying to make this a good thing. They did not meet the moment of the sentiment. She said that she's more concerned about that revenue. When the mayor said, the current mayor once said that she thought the mayor's remarks regarding to Kenny's remarks were asinine, I thought that press conference that she just had this past Monday was asinine. I thought that was insensitive. I thought that it was full of shit. I thought that it missed the moment. It did not meet the moment. It did not actually read the room. It did not speak to issues beyond revenue. The issue that was annoying about this press conference was that they was too busy trying to sell us on this damn deal without acknowledging how so many people suffered. Because let's say this, put the mayor's ego aside. The mayor's talking about, I don't have time to be mad and that. Cool. But your fellow taxpayers, your Philadelphians suffered because of this dumbass decision. And you have to own that people literally were fearful of their livelihoods, and that this literally prompted unnecessary division, chaos, stress, depression, all types of havoc. And there has to be an apology. No one apologized. This 76, those 70, Josh Harris, all of them, Adelman, they did not, and one of them said, we apologize for the inconvenience that this experience has brought this city. We apologize for our about way of going about this. We apologize to the mayor for moving it this way. We see error in the way that we went about this, and we deeply apologize for the inconvenience, the harm, and the stress this may has caused. At the end of the day, this is a better deal, but we recognize how much strife this caused people. There was no accountability from anybody at that press conference. There was no accountability. There was no accountability for all of the money and resources, all of the hearings and time. Like people, including my husband, that work for the city, all those endless hours, all those press releases, all of those wasted hours and statements and pivoting, all of that for nothing. And then for them to try to act like what happened helped to this. No, what you did was you allowed yourself to be a part of a negotiation tactic. And then for them to call people critical of this, early Monday morning quarterbacks and running backs, fuck that. What a slap in the face. I am no fucking Monday morning quarterback, runner back, whatever you want to call it. I am a taxpayer whose husband works in that city and works in this city, that works in the same building you all do, that wasted time just like you all did. How dare you sit up and say that anybody who's frustrated about it, that are criticizing this situation is a Monday morning. Fuck you for that. It's an insult. People put their bodies on the line. People were arrested. People were taken out. like taken out by handcuffs and dragged out. That was traumatic as fuck to see. You had the police brought out, you had the sheriffs, you had the deputies, you had all these people out here. We saw so much racial division amongst the Asian community, the black community, all of the shit that went down. You divided communities. You did all of this, all these town halls, all this gaslighting, all of these lies. Like, own that. So I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. I'm not at all. It's disgusting. And City Council will be back this Thursday, January 23rd at 10 a.m. on, as you all know, 900 a.m. 96.1 FM, Progressive, Black Talk Media, WRD Radio. You can tune in to WRD Radio. I will be on. Okay? I will definitely be on. And I look forward to these conversations because it needs to happen. It's long overdue. So, let me put some other stuff on y'all radar real quick because judicial races are happening in Philadelphia. You know, people are running for DA. There's a guy named Pat Dugan. He is running for DA. We will hear from Krasner if he's running for re-election in the next 30 days. He's going to announce within the next 30 days, which we all kind of know what's going to happen. He's going to run for re-election. But Pat Dugan is running. He is running as a Democrat. He is being endorsed by Ryan Boyer in the building trades. They're coming out. They're saying they just want somebody better for the job. They don't think Krasner's better for the job. Pat Dugan is, talking about crime. He's using that crime rhetoric. But you all know that homicides went down, though. So I don't get it. If Krasner is getting blamed for the rise in retail theft, then shouldn't Krasner get credit for the drop in homicides? Y'all can't use the scare tactics anymore with crime. I mean, the days of whining, oh my God, this city's not safe. Crime has really, really, really went down. Like, it's been impressive. And, we got a brand new police commissioner that has played a role in that. And we also got a DA that's doing their job. But see, it's funny to me how y'all keep doing the about face with this, right? It's either Krasner's fault. Like, when crime was going up, y'all said it was Krasner's fault. Y'all didn't want to blame Danielle Outlaw. But crime is going down. So now only Bethel gets credit for that. I'm just trying to figure out which one is it. But then retail theft, y'all said is going up, which, okay, retail theft. I would rather have retail theft than I would have homicides, to be honest. I mean, crime is crime, but I'm just saying, like, I would rather have retail theft than I would rather have theft of property than have theft of lives. I'm just saying. Okay, if somebody at CVS steals some vitamins that they need to stay afloat, that's better than taking a 15-year-old's life. Okay, so I'm just saying priorities, people. But if you're going to run on retail theft and say that the DA is not doing enough, man, get out of here. Krasner if Krasner wants to be DA again, honestly, based on what I'm seeing in the race, I mean, unless there's a more, I don't know if there's I don't know. I just feel like right now, if you're telling me to choose between Krasner and Dugan, I'm choosing Krasner. I'm not choosing Dugan. I'm not voting for Pat Dugan. I'm just not going to. This guy doesn't even, they asked who did he vote for the previous times. He said everybody but Krasner. Yeah, okay, I'm good on that. Ryan Boyer, are you ready to take another L? Are you ready to back another person? Here's the thing, right? Respectfully, some of these people that's endorsing these people don't live in the municipalities or pay taxes in the very cities to which they're supporting it. So, like, if you don't live in Philadelphia County and pay taxes in Philadelphia County, it's going to get a little played out to be consistently endorsing people that are not your actual DAs, not your actual sheriffs, not your actual people. It's like a little bit too much prodding over here when you live in a different neighborhood, different community. You can't keep talking about the crime if this is not the crime in your neighborhood. I'm just saying, to be fair, because everybody always want to pull the whole, you're not from here, Ernest. But you know what? A lot of people that tell me I'm not quote unquote from here, baby, I have paid taxes here my entire adulthood, okay? I have been a tax-paying Philadelphian. This is the only place I've lived my entire adulthood, okay? I lived here at 18, ain't never left. It's been 15 years, baby. I got a Pennsylvania ID. Get over it. And all I'm saying is the soda tax impacts me, right? These DAs, these laws, these things impact me as a black man in this city. So all this, you ain't from here, you ain't born here, let that shit the fuck go. Whoever is paying taxes here, whoever is experiencing this shit on the ground, I live in West Philadelphia, by the way. I don't live in Center City. So we're not going to keep playing these games, okay? We're not. I've lived here nearly half my life. I am a Philadelphian. just in case people forgot. I'm a Philadelphian. So it's too many people who done moved in the suburbs and moved to Montgomery County and Delco and all these places, but they got all this mouth about what needs to happen in Philadelphia. I'm getting a little tired of it. Because at the end of the day, if you want this city to change, you need to live here and you need to invest in our public education. You live in nice neighborhoods with nicer houses and your kids are going to better schools. But you're over here talking about you care about Philadelphia education. Well, when are y'all going to put some skin in the game outside of moving other people's money and organizations' money to make those differences? At a certain point, we need to be more honest and keep it 100 across the board about it. That's just fair. You can't just keep saying, I'm from here, I grew up here, I lived on this block. Okay, great. Guess what? All 15 years, I've lived in West Philadelphia. I've lived in the University City area. I've never left the zip codes of 19104 or 19139. I've always lived in one of those zip codes. So at some point, if even myself can live in a neighborhood that's not too far from wherever, let's just say, me and Nicholas O'Rourke don't live too far from each other. Okay, I don't live too far from Rick Krasuski. I don't live too far from Armin Brown. Like, I live in this neighborhood. And a lot of us do. And so at a certain point, y'all got to stop playing this whole, where you born here, not this. Who gives a fuck? Because most of the people that pull that card, y'all do not live here. Some of us do. Some of us actually have to see this stuff. And some of us actually have to live with the consequences of leadership. So take a chill pill. That's all I'm going to say on that. Okay, take a chill pill. Now back with these judicial races, because you know we're going to have a May 20th primary very soon. Yes, the primaries are going to be on Tuesday, May 20th. Okay, Tuesday, May 20th. Right after Mr. Johnson graduates with his master's at Johns Hopkins, y'all. We'll be right at the polls on May 20th. So stay tuned for that. But let me tell you something I've been hearing on the tea leaf. This is the tea. The tea is hot. And y'all know y'all hear it first at Ernestly Speaking, because I don't know if this has been through the waves. So there's been a lot of judicial candidates recently that's been announcing their bids and their candidacies. One person that made a big old shock last week during the Democratic City Committee endorsement meetings was Keir Bradford Gray. She's running for judge, or she's considering it. Now, there's some controversy here because she showed up to the Democratic City Committee meeting last week. No one knew, okay, I'm hearing from various sources that people who supported her, big champions of her, did not know that she was going to run for judge. I'm hearing that Sharon Vaughn, who used to be a former city council member, I'm hearing that Isaiah Thomas, who was a big supporter of her when she ran for attorney general, I'm hearing that various members of ward leaders and people who know Keir did not know that she was going to place her bid for an endorsement from the Democratic City Committee from the local Philadelphia Democratic Party. No one saw that coming, and people are apparently heated because, as you all know, with these judicial races, it is one of these are the type of elections where if you get the Democratic nomination, the chances of you winning is very, very strong because a lot of people do not really vote during judicial primaries. So if the party backs you, you have a very, very strong chance of winning. Doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to win, okay? Ask Albert Wade. But if you do get the nomination, it is very likely that you will most likely win. But that does not always happen, but it's very strong. Also, you want to make sure that you're recommended by the Bar Association. Highly recommended or recommended. But highly recommended is what you want, right? Those are the two factors to determine if you win a judicial seat. It really does not matter about votes, to be honest, because the votes will be in. If you get recommended by the Bar Association, and if you get the party's endorsement, if you get that combo, you're pretty much a lock-in for the most part. There are cases where that is not the case. Like I said, Albert Wade. But if you are somebody that is, your likelihood of getting in is very high. Okay? Just want to put that on your radar. So, yeah, she's running for judge. I don't know. I didn't get the details on whether it's municipal courts or court of common pleas. I don't know. But this has created headache for her supporters and ward leaders, apparently, because, as you all know, there has been deals being cut, promises of endorsements and slates. Well, apparently what I've been hearing from sources connected to this is that there were already established slates and people positioned to get endorsements by the party. Well, they can only make a certain number of endorsements based on a certain number of slots, right? Because there's only so many people that get elected to these judicial seats. What I'm hearing is that now that she's jumped in, that might force certain people's hand. I mean, do you want to know my opinion? I ain't gonna hold you. But I kind of would be like, listen, I can't make no promises to you because you clearly did not respect me enough to give me the heads up you was doing this. So I can't guarantee that you'll get an endorsement or I can advocate for an endorsement because certain deals are already made on the table. I'm not going to renege on them. That's how I would do it personally, but everybody's not me. So there's going to be some shakeups though. But I just wanted to put on you all's radar that she's running. I'm worried about Keir personally when it comes to running for this seat. It's like a perennial candidate thing. I think people thought she was going to run for DA. She didn't. But now she's run for judge. Her husband's a judge. So I see the case to be made for her running for judge. It seems like that's where she's headed. She wants to be, elected. I just don't. I just think she should have been a little bit more transparent to people. I don't know why she waited last minute to do it because now it's going to create a lot of chaos. And also it kind of makes people question, are you just becoming that person that now, is she going to become a Sherry Cohen where she's just going to keep running for something until she gets a stick? Is this going to be the new Nina Ahmad where is this going to be where until I get elected in somebody's office, I'll take whatever I can get? Like, I just don't know what this is looking like because, look, maybe Judge was the best fit, but it's almost like, because if she does get Judge, she'll probably be there for a period of time. But I don't know. I just feel like this wasn't the right type of move. Not move running for judge. It's not about what. I think Judge is smart. There's people who have not practiced law as much as her and has become a judge. No shade, but like just being real. I think she's qualified to be a judge. I think, look, that's just a fact. I just wonder if the way that she did this puts a little bit of a monkey wrench in her prospects of being electable because will the party endorse her? Will other things fall into place? She should get recommended by the bar. I don't see why she won't. But it's just going to be interesting to see how that play out. I will tell y'all, she hasn't talked to me since she lost the AG race. So if you want to know the state of our relationship, she's been talking more about me to other people that know me rather than talking to me. We have not spoke in about a year, I would say, close to a year. We have not spoke. She has my number. She hasn't called me or texted me or anything like that. So just putting that out there. I'm not saying anything else. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, then you use your context clues, but I'm not going to say anything more on that. I'm going to keep it very professional. But, my show runs on transparency, so I just want to put the transparency there. I'm going to leave it there. So yeah, and like again, on my end, there's no beef on my end. I would just say that there's no beef on my end. Here I go. This is what makes Ernestly speaking, because now I got to keep speaking, because now I do have a couple of things I want to say. Hypothetically, what I will say is that sometimes when people run for office, hypothetically, some people, when they run for office for the first time, you realize that they're a better person than they are a candidate. And some people are good in their day jobs. They're not good running for office, that they become a different person, and that the campaign makes them, you see a side of them during the campaign that makes you go, And when they're doing other jobs that they're good at, they're much better at, they're better as people than they are candidates. Not to say that they were elected to said role, that they would be a bad elected official. It's just that some people are just bad candidates and they are people. And sometimes they just, some people are super sensitive. And when you run for office, and I'm speaking hypothetically, I'm not speaking about anybody in particular. I'm just saying that, if you're running for office and you're a first-time candidate, sometimes you have to recognize that the way in which you are an expert in other aspects of your professional endeavors, that you are a rookie and a novice in one lane. And that if you try to always be the person that knows everything in a particular arena to which you're a newbie in, then you're going to turn people off. You're also going to be so sensitive that you can't get any type of feedback, that you think people are trying to backstab you. You're super paranoid. You're super intense. And you also can't read the room, and you don't do a good job at checking the temperature of the climate to which you're trying to run. And so a lot of times a campaign can be more of a disaster than what it needs to be because of how you handle it and because of your ability to not want to be a control freak. Um, but that's what certain people in the campaign trail said, not just myself. But I'm just talking hypothetically. I'm not talking about one person in particular. I'm just talking hypothetically. So understand that if you decide hypothetically, said person, if anybody, I'm not talking about one person in particular, but if you decide to run again and you want to lean on the support you had prior, I would suggest you get some real eat a slice of humble pie and really rethink the way in which you went about certain people that was there for you for a long time and supported you for many years, long before you even decided to run for office. And make sure that you call with an apology and an ear ready to listen and in a mindset to do better. People can always reform and do better, but you got to open your heart and your mind and recognize the pitfalls that you had, because not everybody's going to give you a walk. Some people just going to give you a talk on the phone. And that was just me talking hypothetically. All right. So, moving along, let's talk about TikTok. There's a lot to be said about TikTok right now, and a lot of people are scared about the future of TikTok and everything about it. And this has been a crazy moment, Trump is showing his whole ass right now, as we know. There's been a lot of up and down. A lot of people really lost their mind when they thought that TikTok was going to completely be, eviscerated, over this weekend for like what, 12 hours? There was no TikTok for 12 hours. And the messaging was switching, right? At one moment it was, this is gone. And then next moment it was something about kissing President Trump's ass, being like, we hope Trump can fix this. And then you fix it. And then you're kissing Trump's ass again. You're saying stuff about, as a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the US. Like, what are y'all talking about? Like, my whole mindset is like, y'all know, if you've been listening to Ernestly speaking for the entire time, that Trump was the one who started the conversations on banning TikTok because he didn't like China, as he used to say, right? Remember the China virus, blaming everything on China with COVID? He wanted to ban TikTok, and he made a strong argument that has gotten bipartisan support, and I support this, is that the Chinese government having millions of people's data, like nearly half of Americans have TikTok or something, having all this data unregulated in this type of way is weird as fuck and not okay. So when the president of the United States pushed this, Congress passed it, the Supreme Court upholds it, right? They upheld the ban on Friday, and TikTok kept threatening it was going to go dark on Sunday. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. Do what you got to do. But all of a sudden, Trump decides to wake up and say, I'm going to do something different. And y'all okay with that? And so all of a sudden, the servers then put TikTok back on. Yeah, that's not how any of this works. And it's actually pretty weird because Trump has not been officially sworn in as president yet. But yet this man is making this crazy ass decision, get this authority to make this decision. Has anybody woke up and realized this? Because this is really weird. And I don't, and a good friend of mine, Leah Daughtry, who is incredible. If you don't know who Leah Daughtry is, she's a big deal. She's a powerful Black woman who used to be over the DNC, for many years. She said, quote, y'all, pay attention to what's happening with TikTok. Not because you understand it or don't, or use it or don't, but because the Congress passed a bill banning TikTok. The President of the United States signed it, making it a law of the land. There were lawsuits which made it to the Supreme Court. The court upheld the law. Now a soon-to-be president is announcing and has told TikTok that he is overriding the law and that they should keep operating. And TikTok is now ignoring our laws. The president has no authority to overturn laws. This is not in the Constitution. This is not legal. You are watching the dawn of authoritarianism in action. That is what you should be alarmed about. We did not elect the king. Or maybe we did. That is what Leah Daughtry said on Facebook. I shared on my Instagram. I was very... I mean, what she said was powerful, and it's something that we need to talk about, y'all. Like, there's people talking about their livelihoods, and there's no community online. I love TikTok. Grown-ass men that need to go outside and touch grass, get friends, get a hobby, find something else to do. Let's keep it the fuck 100. While some of you all are celebrating the return of TikTok, please understand what the hell is going on. Trump is not in office yet as of the time this podcast was recorded. So for anybody to be at all shocked by this, like, let's be clear. This man is threatening to overturn a law that requires more than just his involvement. And for people that choose to ignore the large implications of this, of what's happening, to just be quote unquote in the moment and just be happy, that's exactly how Trump got elected in the first place. Let me be very fucking clear if people don't understand this enough. Social media platforms do not create communities. The people do. We, the people, found community after MySpace went away, after Vine went away, and whatever the hell else. Like, Black Planet went away, y'all, and Black people still found ways to hook up. Like, we have been doing this. We will always be the reason why there's community. And for those people that are pressed about making money, there will always be other avenues, y'all. Like, there will be other platforms and spaces too. But you do not have to be in bed with the devil to do so. And so I think there's a lot of people that are not realizing how serious this is, and that the fact that you're like, listen, if you feel like TikTok is the only way you need to make money, go get a fucking job. Go take these skills and learn how to get into marketing and branding. Go get a job that is not dependent on this, because you're basically using an app that is literally against the law, literally a problem to our national security, right? All of this. What's ironic to me is that all of these Trumpers, right, that supported borders and foreign invasions are like, oh yeah, let's fuck up the borders of the US. Let's discriminate Chinese people and Asian people in other ways. But this TikTok thing, I like it, so let's keep it. Like, you don't get to cherry pick this. Like, if it's a threat, it's a threat, right? Or did we just renege on that because you all just like this stupid little app? Like, I just think it's a lot of interesting things that's being said here. I'm just saying, the way that a lot of people are moving right now, like all the ways that folks are showing their ass over this whole TikTok thing. And like, look, I get that some people are upset that it went away, right? That's fine, right? But just the way that some people have been acting lately, a lot of people are showing their true, thirsty, problematic colors right now. And if you are offended by what I just said, all I got to say is a hit dog will holler. Okay? A hit dog will holler. Let me be very clear about what the things Trump has already promised to do on day one of his presidency. Okay? For people who think this is a joke, I'm going to give you 11 things this man has already promised to do. He plans to end birthright citizenship. He plans to pardon the January 6th insurrectionists or quote-unquote defendants. He plans to end the war in Ukraine. He plans to implement tariffs, okay? He plans to increase oil drilling. He plans to end Biden-era border policies. He is about to start a quote-unquote made in America auto industry. He plans to end gender-affirming care practices that impacts the transgender community. He plans to begin a mass deportation program. He plans to cancel the electric vehicle quote-unquote mandate. He is going to limit transgender participation in women's sports. That is what this man is doing. So if any of you are thanking Trump for fucking enforcing or breaking the law to keep TikTok, fuck you, that app, and everything that you stand for. Gloves are off. It is 2025. I'm not playing with you. I wasn't playing with you in 2017. I'm not playing with you now. That is what Trump is planning to do on day one. Literally, he plans to deport people in Chicago in the fucking code. Mind you, while his ass is too fucking cold to have an inauguration outside, he is going to send people out to ruin families and terrorize families and divide people. But y'all over here worry about some motherfucking TikTok. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Because this is the stuff that's a mess. And let me also add that his Republican buddies ain't even rocking with him. Senator Tom Cotton, who is a Republican senator from Arkansas. He's the chairman of the Select Committee on Intelligence, and also Senator Pete Ricketts, who is the Republican senator of Nebraska, issued the following statement in response to the news that Amazon, Apple, Google, and Microsoft were among the U.S. companies to remove TikTok from their app stores in accordance to the bipartisan law passed by Congress. This is what he said, quote, "We commend Amazon, Apple, Google, and Microsoft for following the law and halting operations with ByteDance and TikTok, and we encourage other companies to do this to do the same. The law, after all, risks ruinous bankruptcy for any company who violates it. Now that the law has taken effect, there's no legal basis for any kind of quote-unquote extension of its effective date. For TikTok to come back online in the future, ByteDance must agree to a sale that satisfies the law's qualified disinvestment requirements by severing all ties between TikTok and communist China. Only then will Americans be protected from the grave threat posed to their privacy and security by a communist-controlled TikTok." So, in other words, this is far from over. Y'all better wake the fuck up. Those were two Republican senators that supported Trump. This is going to end. If I were you right now and I had a TikTok account, because I really don't have a TikTok account. I mean, I haven't been on TikTok, but I am going to personally remove my TikTok account. I'm going to delete whatever I did have. I haven't used TikTok in like 2 years, y'all. But I am done. My husband is done. I am done. We're done. I was done with the Trump stuff, to be clear. I am done with this because to me, at this point, if you all remember the betrayal of what TikTok was already doing, right? So let me be very clear about the issues of TikTok already that nobody is acknowledging, right? Is that TikTok was already having an issue with the accounts, and everybody else, was doing it. Let me see this, because I'm actually, while I'm talking to you, I'm looking at the deleting the account. It's too much going on. The ban is what I'm putting for my reason. It's a mess. It's a whole entire mess. And they said that you can download your TikTok data, and it's done. They said it will be deactivated for 30 days and won't be visible to the public. During deactivation, you can reactivate your TikTok account anytime. After 30 days, your account and data will be deleted permanently. If you delete your account, you won't be able to log in. Cool. Say less, baby. I'm done. I am done. I am done. I'm completely done. Because it's done. It's over. It's over. Because it's at this point, it's no jokes. Like, it's done. So the account is done. It will be officially done within 30 days. They said. I'm not wasting no time. It's a wrap over here. And I think some of the people is doing that much. And it's real. Somebody said standing in truth can only get you respected, supported by the ones that aren't sleepwalking. Exactly. I'm staying on business because it's enough. It's enough for me. Like at this point, and you all are hearing in real time, me just deleting my account. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Because I waited, to be honest with you, because when they did the shutdown like they did, when they did the whole situation with the data and stuff like that, there were people that was, when TikTok went dark, and this is what I encourage you all to do for those who want to figure this shit out. With the TikTok app right now, the way it is, you can download your data and get all of your information that you posted, all the videos, all the TikTok stuff. I have all of my quote unquote TikTok videos. So I have all the downloads, all the stuff that I have on my account. I now have all those files and I can run them as reels if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that. I ran those reels already on my Instagram, so I'm good. But I did that because when they first shut off the TikTok, right? Nobody had the ability to download their data or be able to set their parameters. So basically what happened was that account went public. So that account was public, even though the accounts were still public, where other countries and people can access your content and respond and engage with it, even though you couldn't be able to edit, modify, or do anything. So what that tells you is that when they shut TikTok down in the US, they didn't shut your account down. So that means that your information, your videos, your ideas, all your intellectual property can still be used by other people. They can steal your trends, they can steal your stuff, and you would have no way of censoring or regulating it. So for me, I didn't realize when they were going to make the shutdown happen because I had not been on my TikTok account. So I didn't have the ability to download or do anything else. Now that they opened it up, I just downloaded my stuff and I also deleted my account. And I will never go on TikTok again. So I'm done. Ernest is out, okay? Mr. Ernest Owens handle, it's over. I'm not on TikTok anymore. And I never really was on TikTok, but I had an account. It's done. Fuck that account. Fuck them. And I encourage all of you all to do the same because if anything, you need to download your stuff. And honestly, they won't even let you download. I don't know if they even let you download it unless you get off. But you need to delete the account. It takes 30 days for you to be completely scrubbed off. So while Trump and them are arguing and doing all this, whatever, this account is about to be obsolete off of TikTok regardless. I'm not going to let any outside country. I barely want Meta to have it, goddammit. But I will not do this. And I think that everybody should already, first of all, no one should be codependent on any app for their business. Because let me keep it all the way 100 with you. Whether there's an apple.com, whether there is a Twitter, facebook.com, x.com, whatever you want to call it, there will be an ernestowens.com because I own my website and my domain and I own my shit. I encourage you all to do the same. I encourage you all to own your own online real estate, okay? Own your own platforms. If Ernestly Speaking was no longer on Apple Podcasts, baby, you can listen to audio on my website straight through my streamer. Okay? There is always a means to this content. You do not have to. When I took my show off of Spotify, people said, well, where are you going to go? I can go anywhere I want to go. As long as I'm producing it with my own content, my own equipment, I can do whatever I want to do. I encourage people to really use this time to be strategic and think about how you want to move forward in this new era. Because it's too much happening right now. It's too much happening right now. And I feel like a lot of people are not using logic and they're making some bad decisions. So I would encourage people to really read the room and think this shit through. Just saying. It's just not, it's not worth it, in my opinion, for people to put all this. Everybody's talking about personal information, all this data, making money. I just really encourage people to be smart. You know, to be smart, to use your noggin. To use your noggin. Stay woke. Because it's too much going on right now in our society. And I think people just think this is a joke. This is not a joke. This is very serious. And it's problematic. And it should go. And even just these relationships. So the CEO of TikTok is coming to Trump's inauguration. Are y'all seeing what's going on here? Like, is this country going to become under a dictatorship? Like the CEO of TikTok is coming. I'm trying to understand. Trump, you wanted to ban it. So are you reneging on that? And also, there's been enough investigations. So you're going to override the Supreme Court and Congress. How does that work? And if we let this happen, America, then what makes us not think he's going to overturn and overrule any other laws that are laws of the land? This shit got to go back to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court already made their decision. So you're saying, fuck your conservative majority Supreme Court, fuck your majority Congress, fuck your majority Senate. These are all Republicans. These are all people. This is a bipartisan agenda. And you're really saying that you're going to override this. Why? You think the Gen Zers are going to like you? Maybe. Because they're already acting funny right now. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Mm, 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 mm. So much, too much. So much, too much. Mm, 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 mm. So, I want to take a time to talk about this before I lead into my Ask Ernest, because my Ask Ernest is definitely going to be the talk of the town, probably. But let me get into media real quick. MSNBC, the president, Rashida Jones, who made history as the first black president of MSNBC, she's gone now. She's stepping down. NBC general manager Rick Harris, who was at NBC 10, he was the general manager, he's exited as well. Fact checking is done at Google despite the European Union policy. Very, very telling. But in good news, which is interesting, Apple is halting their AI news summaries, which is a good thing. So, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, so Apple used to have these AI summaries on their news, like Apple News. You might see it on your desktop whenever you go into your Mac or whatever. Um, Apple News would take articles from the Washington Post and various news partners and credible news sources, and they would do these summaries of what these articles or these headlines were about. The problem is with AI is that AI was missing a lot of context, and actually the way in which they were summarizing this information was not true or factual. And it was causing problems to the point that Washington Post and other outlets were like, listen, you are fucking up our stories and our reporting. Like, this is not true. It's giving out misinformation. This is not accurate. And it would come to a point where it could have been a legal threat of a liability, right? Because it could be argued that this site is basically creating libel. Basically, and if it, and in many ways, you could argue that if given a warning, if they would have kept using AI, it would have been considered malicious, right? Of misinformation, and it's hurting the credibility of the brand of the company's brand, because you're false summarizing this article's information and it's not true. So there's some legal hurdles between the free press and this AI stuff. Here's the issue why I'm not a fan of AI right now. And I've been saying this to people. If you kill fact checking, then AI cannot happen. Because if you're going to do AI and you're going to use AI for summaries, then you have to be able to have something in place that will fact check and correct it so that there's a mechanism in place. If Google is not doing fact check, then I don't know what the hell Gemini is doing. On what basis of sources do they be able to maneuver through what is factual, what is real, to give people advice? In other words, please do not use Gemini right now if Google is not fact checking your shit. Please do not use any of these AI devices that do not have fact checking involved. Meta says they're not fact checking, so I would not even use any of Meta's AI shit. How do you do AI without fact checking? Like, literally, if it's artificial intelligence, then they're going to be using what? Artificial information, which means it's fake. Like, that's basically generating fake news. So if you ask me, well, how many ingredients does it take to make a cake or a pie? Well, if you use AI for it, I mean, damn it, they might get you food poisoning. Where are the liabilities in place? Anybody can sue these places now. I'm going to sue Gemini if you give me the wrong direction somewhere. I might sue Gemini if I get in a car accident, if you tell me to take a left turn on a certain highway. Like, there is no accountability metrics in place for this. So I just feel like, I don't know, AI is going away. Without fact checking in place, there's no way that you can require any of them to do well. So I'm wondering what Apple is doing, because they're just stopping their AI summary generators now, because they're realizing, oh shit, we cannot rely on AI to summarize this stuff because there's other things that needs to be in place to maintain factuality. So in other words, I'm assuming, I don't know for a fact, that maybe Apple just relied on AI to do it without actually having any fact checkers in the background doing it. The whole point of AI was supposed to be a convenience. What's weird to me now is that if you have to fact check what AI is saying, then that's going to require a human, right? Which means that a human should just go ahead and do that work, because the AI is not ready to even think intelligently or factually about it. But facts require humans to actually run them unless you are running credible sources all throughout your sites, which means that you would have to fact check all the news and information that's being generated through AI, which means that you need a human to do that. Yeah. Stay woke, people. Stay woke. Stay woke. I'm just saying stay woke. Because it's telling you right now where this is headed. And with a president like this, So I am going to talk to you all this week, in this week's Ask Ernest, because a lot of you all saw an IG story. And if you're listening to this early enough, you might still see the IG story up because I did not delete anything, despite some people deleting other things. I talked about a certain social influencer I had a disagreement with, and I shared a critique on my IG story. This influencer is very popular to people. I really don't follow them. I don't follow them on TikTok. I followed them this week on Instagram, and then I quickly unfollowed them after something that I saw that was, in my opinion, quite disturbing, even though it's been framed as a joke. Brand Flakes, he is a white Gen Z gay influencer that is on TikTok. A lot of his videos, he is inebriated. He's, I guess funny to people. I don't really find him funny personally, but he's, very sarcastic, and, he's built a reputation of going to clubs and parties and flirting with guys and getting wasted. And that's like his claim to fame on social media. And he, I guess, promotes brands. He promotes food. I have seen him at some media events, but we never were like besties. We never were like, hey, friend, how you doing, pal? All of that jazz. It was never that energy. It was like a hello, how you doing? What's up? Because, I'm Southern, so, it's always going to be some Southern hospitality. But I want to lay the foundation why I'm saying all this because, I know that when people got big platforms and they get on these platforms, they talk, people like to get their stories mixed up. So I want to be able to tell y'all the full story here. If it carries there, I got the receipts to back up anything that I'm saying because I have not verbatim had any communication with this person. So everything I've had with them in communication was through the written word. So yeah, everything that I'm saying here, it's everything that I'm going to tell you all is verified by actual written word. And when I'm operating with people that I don't know, I typically like to do things via email or anything like that because especially when I don't know the person and their reputation is not necessarily the most mature. So I say all that to say that there was a lot of immaturity with Brand Flakes in my encounter with him, which led to me, everything that was going on. So let me back up real quick before there's a part 1 to this and the part 2. But I'm going to start off with the part 1, which was an incident that involved Brand with Fado. I wasn't there, but allegedly, according to him, he went to Fado. I've never really went there. I was like an Irish pub on 15th and Spruce. He went there one night in some cheetah pants with some homegirls at around 1:30 a.m. The bars in Philly close around 2, so he came super, super late. He went up to this bouncer that has a very violent reputation. The bouncer no longer works at Fado based off of this incident and other allegations that were said about him. So at the time, this night, I guess this weekend, he goes out. This was like last Saturday night. Not this past Saturday, but the one before. He went with his friends, allegedly, to this location. He went there with the bouncer. Had an encounter with this man that was verbal initially, but it led to a situation where there was even more some type of alleged physical encounter with the bouncer and one of the young ladies he was with. He was upset about it. He was very offended about the situation. The man made a remark about his cheetah pants, said his cheetah pants are weird, and it was just really rude to him. And him being the influencer that he is, one could argue entitled brat. But again, nonetheless, he was upset about it, and he decided to go on his social media and call them out. He did a lot of due process of, I guess, when he called them out and talked about his experience because he wanted the whole world to know that he had a bad night at this bar. Mind you, this man is going to Rouge where there's allegations that there's women getting roofied at Rouge. And nonetheless, he's gone and he called himself out for his own hypocrisy. But nonetheless, this man's went to other problematic nightclubs in the city. Mind you, y'all already know my history of nightclubs in Philadelphia and how I feel about the neighborhood, how I feel about the racism, the dress codes, everything else. This man benefits from white privilege where he gets to go to those clubs and not get the same experience that other black and brown people get and other folks that are not as prominent in the influencer world as he thinks he is in those spaces. But we all know about that as black and brown people. And we also know this as regular people and other folks that have been discriminated in nightclubs. You could be as educated and as attractive and as all the things that my educated black ass is, right? But if I take my ass to some of these nightclubs that Brand has been able to access and get into, I couldn't act like him. I couldn't carry on like him. I couldn't do the shit he do. My ass would be locked up. And y'all know this is true. And if Brand was as quote unquote informed as he claims he is, he would know this is true. There is racial double standards and prejudice at nightclubs when it comes to these issues. So, baby, I am not new to this. I am true to this. But moving on. So, this thing happens with me, y'all. Y'all know what I'm talking about, where I'm a journalist that speaks truth to power. I call out injustices. I am going to always be on the side of the people when it comes to issues that impacts community. And, this past week, I blew up, in many ways because I broke the story about the 76ers arena. People know that when shit goes down in Philadelphia that is unjust and really, really problematic and wrong, they know that I will, advocate and amplify if everything's right. But y'all also know that I'm a journalist and I have to respect the law because that haters and companies and people want to go after me when I don't do things a certain way. So I got to make sure the facts are together. I got to make sure stories are coherent. I got to make sure all my ducks in line. And I got to make sure that this story rises to the occasion for my level of involvement, right? It's like when people want to call on Reverend Al Sharpton or somebody to do something. It's like, does every little incident you have requires that level of attention? Or could this be handled internally? Does everything rise to this occasion of X, Y, and Z thing? So, Brand, for the first time in his life, followed me on Instagram. Yes, he never followed me before. I never followed him. I didn't know him like that. But, he never followed me. All of a sudden, he follows me because guess what? How convenient, right? People follow you and hit you when they want something from you, right? So, he followed me on Instagram. So, looking through my IG story. And then around 9:42 at night, while I was at the Michael Jackson musical with my brother, he hits me up in my DMs. I'm going to read it to you verbatim because I got receipts, baby. I ain't got no reason to lie. He hits me up and says, hey, King. Now, mind you, I don't know this dude like this. So even the hey, King seems a little bit like, you don't know me like that to be in my DMs like that. So I hit him with a what's up. He says, have you seen my post regarding Fadu? I had not, y'all. I didn't even know about it. I said, nope, what's up? So he starts sending me TikTok clips and videos. And he says to me, I have a lot of information regarding this. Press won't take me seriously because I don't have police reports. But I know you're a real one, so just want to chat. And he gives me the heart face smiley emoji. I'd want to chat before you post anything, but I have a story here. So he's sending me all this. I'm a little taken aback because I have seen this guy at events. This guy has never came up to me and gave me props, never acknowledged me in no type of way to act like he do. This is already giving me sus personally as a black man because I'm kind of like, okay, this is that white feminism stuff that black women be talking about where it's like, you see me, dude. You see me and you don't see me. You have said hello. It ain't it ain't never been that kind of energy, child. And not that I expect that of him, but it's like we don't vibe. Like you're coming at me real extra familiar, and it's like, come on here. So this is what I said to him. I said, thanks for reaching out. But unfortunately, this isn't how journalism works. These are serious allegations that implicate more than just the bouncer, but the business. Without the full cooperation of any of the accusers, that puts a liability on the journalist reporting it. It's one thing for someone on their platform to speak individually, but it's another thing for a journalist and news outlet to do so without the threat of legal action. He said, I totally get it. The reason why I said this was because on his TikTok and on his social media, he had made numerous allegations about Fadu, what people were saying, the allegations. I mean, he just was really saying some stuff that honestly is incriminatory. Like, you can't be out here just saying stuff without, again, as an individual, that's his right, that's his experience. But I cannot use my platform to simply, as a journalist, right, working for news outlets, I can't put an article or story behind any of this stuff without it getting vetted. So I did not want him to think that he's going to instruct me and tell me what the story was. So even though he said, I totally get it, he begins to send me more stuff. And then he says, I just want justice for these people. This man hemorrhaged so bad he couldn't get his last chemo treatment. These bars have deals with the cops. This police report is quote unquote being looked for. I don't mess around. I've compiled evidence for this, but I'll be careful and handle it myself. Thank you. Y'all, okay. I said to him, keep me posted when things get more solid. I report on confirmed and viable facts. In this Trump era, journalists like myself are under attack in ways you couldn't imagine. He says, oh, I get it. But once again, he continues to send me more information. So then he says to me, he sends me something about somebody criticizing him. Somebody said, Brand Flakes trying to get a bar canceled for not letting him in at 1:30 a.m. That's this Reddit video he sends me. And then he responds back to me, all because I'm trying to help people. I can't imagine what you deal with. I gave it a thumbs emoji and I kept it moving. I did not speak to him about it no further. I left it alone. I left it there, y'all. Okay? Okay. Now let's go to part 2. So part 2 on Sunday, when all the TikTok stuff is going on, all of this stuff is going on with the world where everybody's responding about the TikTok stuff. People are, depressed, all this stuff. Brand Flakes on his IG story, right, makes a post. He adds Donald Trump. He says, I'm sorry I called you an orange hemorrhoid. Can you please give me my job back, though? And it's a picture of him with a smile. He's looked like he's laying in bed, and he has like a photoshopped Make America Great Again red hat on his head. Now, in smaller font, he says, please, this is a joke. Don't unfollow me. You're all I have left, haha, is what he puts in parentheses under the photo. Listen, I don't play like that. I can't afford to play like that. I'm a Black queer man. I don't think any of it's funny. You're tagging Trump. You're wearing a red hat or a Photoshop hat, whatever you want to fucking call it. You're joking like this, making a joke about this as a white man, okay? You're a white man. Whether you want to call yourself a white, you say you white, you gay, whatever. You could be white and gay, but you're still a white man. You benefit from white privilege. To make a joke like that with your followers and people like myself and others, you was engaged to a Latino man at one point in time that arguably has to deal with racism in ways that you do not. How do you make a joke like this and think this is funny? So I saw it. I unfollowed him. And in my post, when I was sharing about the stuff that was going with TikTok, I did share his clip and said, look what immediately happens and how people begin to act when this stuff happens with this TikTok stuff, right? I said on my story, I'm not joking about a white supremacist fascist who is about to ruin lives tomorrow. Check your privilege at the door. Grow up. None of this is funny. I said there is literally nothing funny about any of this, and y'all clearly don't understand how unfunny it's about to be. TikTok got white influencers wearing mega hats like it's comedy. Anything for attention, fuck that. They show you who they really are when shit gets real. They show you their unbridled privilege in ways unfathomable. They play in your face. In 2025, believe them. Save your white fragility in tears. That was a choice, a decision, a quote-unquote joke nobody asked for. So yeah, I went off of my IG story. I was disgusted because in my mind, I'm like, dude, I literally sat up here and I told you about how this Trump stuff impacts people, right? And you act like you know. Why would you joke like that? So I was turned off. So he saw my story because clearly, people was like, yo, Ernest, got you on. Look, I have no problems calling out because let me be very clear. Y'all know, Black folks, everybody was DMing me. You see this? You see this? And they was calling Brand out of my day. It was like, Brand, I can't believe Brand Flakes did that. Yo, he's the same one just crying about what just happened to him. And he gonna do some post like that. Like they was over him, right? So what he do, he gets in my DMs again. He sees my post. He goes, LMAO, laughing my ass off. Then when I put my comment about TikTok got white influencers wearing mega hats, he said, it was Photoshop filter. You know my character. That's crazy. This is what he says to me in the DMs. So you're going to LMO it. You're going to LMAO it. Then you're going to follow up with it was a Photoshop filter. You know my character. That's crazy. Now, see, y'all know what's about to happen next, right? Okay. Because I'm going to read y'all what happens next. So I said to him in response, I said, what's crazy is you actually thinking I know you like anything at all. To come in my DMs with the LMAO is also crazy. And rather than be a bunch, and rather than be like a bunch of people who are hurt and offended by what you posted, I simply named it and hoped you wouldn't actually and wait a minute, let me back up a little bit. I said, and rather than be like a bunch of people who are hurt and offended by what you posted, I simply named it and hoped you would actually reconsider how this isn't landing how you intended. In other words, my whole mindset is, dude, whether you was joking or not, none of this is okay. At the end of the day, a lot of people are hurt and offended by what you said, and they may not tell you in your face or on social media, but I named it. This was his response. I went to Kamala rallies, lost 3 brand deals for speaking against Trump, led a call to Kamala to save TikTok. I don't need to prove anything to you, though. Wish you the best in all your endeavors. Good luck, love, and light. And he gave me a sparkle emoji. Again, because I'm trying to control and contain myself, because I'm sitting here looking like I didn't ask you to give me anything, and I don't need, and you giving me attitude, so you're gaslighting me, trying to act like, like you're trying to turn these tables on me. I said, Brand, respectfully read the room. That's all I'm going to say on this as well. I left it alone there. That's the part where he should have stopped when I said that. Nope, he keeps going. He says the room was read. I deleted the post even though majority of my Democratic colleagues thought it was funny. When your job and livelihood are on the line, you don't get to tell people how to react. Humor is my vice, always has been. Had the utmost respect for you. It's why I came to you for help this week. You could have messaged me privately, but all good. Like I said, nothing but love and good luck. Again, y'all, I know what y'all was thinking. Like, did he? Listen, baby, I went back again. I said, read the room and the audience. I'm telling you that your joke about aligning yourself with a man that is going to put my job and livelihood on the line, you also don't get to tell me how to react to the joke. So then he said to me, Ernest, we're on the same team. I'm not going to argue with you. It's what they want, and I won't engage. See, this is what white people do. White people listening, do y'all see what he's doing to me right now? Black people, y'all already know what it is. And it's the day before MLK Day, and this is what white people are choosing to do. There is no way on God's green earth you and I are on the same team. Baby, you're not even my level. Honey, you don't even have the range to be on my team, to be on my level, to be on anything near me. And this is what gets these people confused. Dear, I am a journalist. You are an influencer. You make a living pretending that you're drunk or being drunk and going to nightclubs. I make a living speaking the truth to power. Baby, I have a master's degree in communication management. Your inability to read the room and understand who the fuck you're talking to the way that you are has you left off at the place of, what the fuck did you just say? To this is where you got me fucked up. You do not have any team with me. You are not on any level with me, and you will not speak to me like that. And for him to even try it, to say, I'm not going to argue with you. Dear, you're arguing with me. I wasn't going back and forth with you. I had said what the fuck I had said. The fact that you're giving me paragraphs and continuing to say more and more to try to justify something. What should have came out your mouth is what, y'all? I'm sorry. My bad. I apologize for that. No. What you try to do is tell me how you supported Kamala. That is the white answer to, I have black friends. I support the black person. I voted for Obama. That's that response, right? The defensiveness, right? The second thing is, oh, not only that, I'm going to tell you about how other people thought it was okay what I did. I don't give a fuck. Did we forget how this works? Oh, okay. So my response to him was simply, the gaslighting got to stop. And that was in that conversation. So I'm not encouraging people to harass, bully, insult, brand flakes. I'm not doing that because you know that's what white people do. When white people get called to the carpet for doing something problematic, what they then do is say, I got death threats. People are harassing me. I was scared. They become a Karen. So let me be very clear. My energy is not to harass this man, berate this man, none of that, because he's not on my level and I don't care. But what I want to show you all in real time is how white fragility will make themselves the victim in situations where they caused harm and disrespect. I was offended by what he did. He deleted his post as he should. That was it. That's all it should have been. But for you to turn around, gaslight me, not read the room, and try to tell me, and first of all, laugh out loud and then say, this is crazy, it's a joke. Like, what are you doing? Why is any of this funny? Why are we making jokes about Trump in 2025? And how dare you sit up and tell me when my livelihood is threatened, you don't get to tell me how to react. I'm sorry, but Trump is bigger than you and your motherfucking TikTok. That's what it means to not be able to read the room. So you're worried about TikTok, and I'm worried about people being deported, people losing their rights of free speech, people being in all types of other issues. And you're over here trying to basically zaddy up the fucking president of the United States to let your white ass get your ass back on TikTok. And you thought it was ha-ha jokes. What if someone said, ha-ha, I'm going to put a swastika on? Ha-ha, because that's what it is. For black people, a MAGA hat represents a white hood. It represents white supremacy. It represents hatred. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. If I had a swastika on and said, ha-ha, I'm just joking though, that would not be okay. Ha-ha, I'm putting on a KKK hood. Like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? So if you think that your Democratic colleagues thought it was funny, then you should have kept the post up. But clearly you knew I was right, and that's why you took it down. There are people literally in my DMs saying that there was nothing funny about that, and have said that this is giving KKK member in plain sight. I didn't say that. I'm not saying he's a KKK member. I'm just saying that the level to which you've created this disrespect and your inability to own that shit, give an apology and say you fucked up is the reason why I will never be on the same team with you. Because the team I'm on is a team about self-accountability. The white people, like I said, in a world of Karens, be a Kelly. Okay? In a world of Joes, okay, be a JoJo. In a world of brand flakes, be a Brendan Fraser. I'm just saying that ain't the type of team I'm trying to be on. The type of team I'm trying to be on is white people who can check their privilege, read the room, acknowledge you're wrong, and don't backtalk. Why are you coming in my DMs because I'm offended and trying to change and trying to gaslight me and rewind me and tell me, oh, you're thinking about this the wrong way? If that was the case, why did you take the post down? So I'm not following him. Don't ever bring his name up around me. I don't care about him. I'm not talking about him anymore. It's not happening over here. That's all I'm going to say. Just to be clear. Just in case. Because I know people lie. But I have receipts. That's the only conversation me and this man has had. That's the only dialogue that went down. That is it. That is all. That was y'all Ask Ernest. Y'all want to know what happened with you and Brand because you saw my post. That is what happened with Brand and I. And that is all it is. And that's all it's going to be. Because I said what I said. And it is what it is. And it's never going to be cool. And if he wants to say anything else, he should just stop right there and leave it alone. Because you don't want no smoke with me. There is no beef between you and I. I have beef with people on my level. You're not on my level. There is no beef. I have no beef with you. There's no beef. There's no pork. There's no chicken. There's no meat. There's no poetry. There is nothing with you. You're too immature to even talk to me the way that you was talking to me. And I had patience because at the end of the day, I knew that going off on you was going to go on one ear and come out the other. So I gathered myself and said, you know, on this Sunday, I'm going to leave it alone and leave it where it's at. I'm going to leave him right there. But let me tell you something, though. That right there told me everything I need to know. That right there told me why I never need to know him prior. And that right there told me how transactional white people think they are when it comes to dealing with other people. The transactionalness, the hey, king. Oh, you didn't do what I want. I'm mad that you're mad at me for doing something offensive. Jokes are offensive. Impact Trump's intention. You need to go to a cultural competency course. Read the room and the audience. Reading the room is not enough. Because he read the room to take the post down, but he didn't read the audience to know that he shouldn't have been talking to a black person when he did about a Omega hat that he thought was cute because he photoshopped it on. None of this is funny. And I'm done. So, moving along. Oscar season is shaping up, y'all. The nominations are coming out this Thursday, January 23rd, which I'm excited about. Around the same time, the City Council Live will be here. I don't really know what's going to happen this year. I thought my predictions were on point. I don't really know. There's a lot of things up in the air. I've been really following the Oscars intently, and I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen, right? I've been watching this like a hawk. I've been really, really just focusing on this with my undivided attention. I'm trying to make my predictions, right? I see big things for Amelia Perez. Let's just start there. Amelia Perez is definitely going to get a lot of nominations, okay? So that is happening, okay? Amelia Perez is on my radar list, okay? Let's just start there. I also think Wicked is going to get some love too, a lot of love, okay? And I can see The Brutalist getting some love. I mean, I think Brutalist can get the most nominated. I think Amelia Perez and Brutalist are going to be like the top two. Maybe Conclave got potential too. Let me not sleep on Conclave. Wicked as well. Costume design, makeup in here. I can see them getting some stuff too. So I think those are going to be some of the big players at play, right? Maybe a complete unknown in the substance. Some love for Nora as well. Now, what I'm hoping for is Sing Sing and Nickel Boys to shine. I would love Sing Sing and Nickel Boys to get nominated for Best Picture. That is my dream. I don't know if it's going to happen right now, guys. I'm a little nervous. But I really would love to see Sing Sing show up strong, okay? Now, Best Actress. It is tricky. So to be honest with y'all, I love all my categories. I really would like Ramel Ross to get nominated for Nickel Boys. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to tell you my dreams before I tell you what I think might happen. So I would love for Sing Sing and Nickel Boys to get nominated for Best Picture. I don't think both of the films are going to get nominated. I think Sing Sing has a higher chance, but it would be beautiful for Nickel Boys too. Right now, people think September 5 is going to show up, but I hope it doesn't, okay, to be honest. There are people talking about, maybe a Real Pain might slide in there. I can see the Real Pain get nominated for Best Picture. I hope it doesn't either, but we don't know. Now, for Best Director, I hope that Carly Farge for The Substance gets nominated. She will be the only woman who I think will get nominated for Best Director. But I also want Ramel Ross to get nominated for Best Director. But then I don't know who will get taken out. So it's a little tough right now. That category seems like it's a lock-in. If I was a betting man right now for Best Director, I would say the major players is Jacques Audrad, the French director for Amelia Perez, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, who I think will actually win, Edward Berger for Conclave, Sean Baker for Nora, and then Carly Forget for The Substance. That's what I think my top 5 is going to be. Now, if I was to pick my Best Picture nominees, I would say Amelia Perez, The Brutalist, Conclave, A Complete Unknown, Wicked, Nora, Dune Part 2, The Substance, Sing Sing, and A Real Pain. Those are my predictions. Now, potential upsets could be Nickel Boys could surprise us, and September 5 might surprise us. Okay. Now, let's get into the categories we all care about. Best Actor. My bid for Best Actor I think is going to be Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, and Daniel Craig for Queer. Now, a lot of people think that Sebastian Stan, who plays Donald Trump in The Apprentice, might pull the upset and knock Daniel Craig out. But I think Daniel Craig for Queer might get it. There's also speculation that Jesse Eisenberg for A Real Pain might surprise everybody and get into that 5th slot. So that's the predictions there. Now, for Best Actress, my predictions for Best Actress is Demi Moore for The Substance, Mikey Madison for Nora, Carla Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez. And she will be the first ever trans actress to get nominated for an Academy Award in the acting category. History's about to be made, y'all. Be prepared for that. My other 2 slots. Now, this gets a little sticky. I'm going to say Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. And then my last one is a fight, y'all. It is a fight. I don't know. It is between Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. I think either one of them are going to get it. I don't think both of them are going to get it. If both of them get it, it'll be a dream. I really want Marianne Jean-Baptiste to get it for Hard Truths. That is my dream. Now, I am crying a little bit because I thought Angelina Jolie for Maria was a lock-in. That ain't happening. Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl is not happening either. Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl might slide up in surprises, y'all. I'm gagging. But I really want Marianne Jean-Baptiste to get nominated. If anybody over her and Demi Moore are my two favorite people, and Carla Sofia Gascon. Cynthia Erivo might surprise us and not get nominated. But people think that Fernanda Torres is a lock-in. If she's a lock-in, then Mikey Madison, Demi Moore, Carla Sofia Gascon, and Fernanda Torres are lock-ins, then the fight is really between Cynthia Erivo for that first slot, and maybe Angelina Jolie's not happening, Marianne Jean-Baptiste is not happening, but I wish she would, man. If Marianne Jean-Baptiste get nominated, I'm going to yell, I'm going to scream, I'm going to be super excited. I want this so bad for her because that performance is one of the best performances I've ever seen in my life. If you have not seen Hard Truths, go see it. We're rooting for you, Marianne Jean-Baptiste. We want you to get this nomination, okay? Best Supporting Actor. We got another fight ahead of us. Now, here are my predicted nominees. Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, Yura Bosov for Nora, and you know what, y'all? My fifth slot, I think it's going to be Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice it's a great performance, okay? Let me just say that. I mean, the performance is good. He plays in the film Roy Cohn, who I've been telling y'all about over the years, how he's so problematic. Roy Cohn is who he plays. I could see a reality in which this performance could happen. This nomination can happen, but I'm still on the fence about it, guys. But he could pull it, okay? Which means two things. This is a succession battle. Kieran Culkin and Jeremy Strong duking it out. We saw Kieran Culkin did the Emmys. I think that Kieran Culkin is going to win this Best Supporting Actor Oscar, too. We'll see. However, the person I want to get nominated that is on the fence is Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing. I really want Clarence Macklin to get nominated. Now, in a perfect world, I want Denzel too, but I think Denzel Washington is not going to get nominated. I'm heartbroken. He is on the bubble, but I think it is not going to happen. He has not made it into SAG. BAFTA didn't give him a nomination, even though Clarence Macklin did. I don't know how this is going to play out. I really want Clarence Macklin to get nominated. I don't know who gets sacrificed. Is it Yura Borsov, which has been nominating everything for Nora? Do I think they should replace Jeremy Strong for Clarence Macklin? Personally, yes. I think that Kieran Culkin is a lock-in. I think Edward Norton's a lock-in. I think Guy Pearce is too. Yura Borsov, I mean, maybe, possibly. But Jeremy Strong, I think we should flip him out for Clarence Macklin. Because in my opinion, if Sing Sing's getting nominated for Best Picture, but The Princess is not, then that means that shouldn't that give the upper hand to Clarence Macklin? I think so. Put him in fifth, but I want him to get nominated. Now, Best Actress is a little messy. Best Supporting Actress is messy. Now, here is my predictions. These are my personal predictions. I don't know who's going to win. But I think Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. She's the front runner. Ariana Grande for Wicked. Isabella Rossellini for Conclave. Even though that performance is small, short, and forgettable, you all are like, I saw Conclave. Who is this supporting actress? Y'all, they're talking about the old nun. Yes, the one who was there for like 5 seconds and had that one little verse. Yes, she. But you better look up who her mother is. If you look up who Isabella Rossellini's mother is, you will understand why this woman is getting nominated. Her mother is, y'all ready for it? Ingrid Bergman. Yes, Oscar-nominated actress Ingrid Bergman. The one who has multiple Oscars to her name. She was in Casablanca. She was in Gaslight. She was in Notorious. She is an iconic actress, okay? Isabella Rossellini was born in a scandal. Her father was Italian filmmaker Roberto Rossellini. This was the most iconic Hollywood love story. They love Isabella Rossellini. She is iconic. Why am I saying her name like this? I don't know. Because she's an icon, okay? And her mother's an icon, okay? Ingrid Bergman is one of the most lauded Hollywood actresses of all time. This woman has 3 Academy Awards, 2 Primetime Emmys, and a Tony Award. And she has 4 Golden Globes, a BAFTA, and a Volpe Cup. This is one of the only 4 actresses to have at least 3 Acting Academy Awards. Only Katharine Hepburn has 4. This is a big deal, is what I'm trying to tell you all. This is a big deal. This is a big damn deal. So y'all cannot sleep on her. She's Hollywood royalty. Okay? And so I think the Academy is going to, I don't want to say the word pity her, but the Academy is going to, she's a darling of the Academy. Like, the Academy loves her. You know what I'm saying? She has 2 Golden Globes under her belt. She has a British Academy Film Award, and she has a Primetime Emmy Award, okay? She has, a nice career. This will be nice. This is her, this might be considered her consolation prize. This makes sense? She's never been nominated for Oscar. She's never been nominated for Oscar. Just to put this in perspective. She's never been nominated for an Oscar. She's been on, she's won, Emmys, Primetime Emmy. She got nominated for a Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series for Chicago Hope. But, her awards are very slim. She was nominated for a BAFTA, which she currently is nominated for Conclave. But, her awards are slim. So, it's very, very telling is what I'm getting at. And so I think this is a moment for her to shine. So that's my prediction is there for her. Now, my other prediction is Felicity Jones for The Brutalist. That might be a little slippery, but I'm willing to ride on it because The Brutalist is going to get so many nominations that I can see her getting that nomination. Now, my 5th slot, I think Jeremy Lee Curtis might surprise with The Last Showgirl. I don't know. Something's telling me that Jeremy Lee Curtis is going to surprise with the Oscar nomination for that. But there's 2 other people at play. Selena Gomez might get nominated. People think that Selena Gomez is going to get an Oscar nomination. I kind of think that's like, I don't know. I'm a little sus on that. But people think that she might get a nomination surprises. I also think Margaret Qualley, who is the actress that is in The Substance with Demi Moore, she might turn around and surprise everybody and get that nomination, which is well deserved. I saw her in a movie, a Netflix show that I really thought she was good in. Not a lot of people talked about it, but she's a great actress. She's currently dating, oh my goodness, Margaret Qualley. She's dating Jack Antonoff. Yes, they started dating in 2023. So this is a very new relationship. But did y'all know that she is a Nepo baby? Her mother is Andie MacDonald, who's this great actress. Y'all all remember her. She was in 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Groundhog's Day. Well, they played a movie together, a show on Netflix called Made. It came out in 2021. And it was a really, really good show. It was a really good miniseries. It was about domestic violence. And it was powerful. If you really want to see her, and I thought she was a great actress in it. Like, Margaret Qualley was a great actress, in that series. But not all domestic or family violence is black eyes or broken limbs. It tackles the various nuances around it. And I think it's inspired by a true story. But that's when I first saw Margaret Qualley, and she's 30 years old. So, she's fairly young, around my age. And she's got potential. She's a Nepo baby who can act her ass off. I think her in The Substance would be good. And it's interesting because her mother, I don't remember if her mother ever got an Oscar nomination. One of her big roles was in Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and she earned an Independent Spirit Award for Best Lead Actress. She got a Golden Globe nomination for that. But no, she never got an Oscar nomination, which is something. She got a Golden Globe nomination for Made, starring alongside her daughter, which I think Margaret Qualley also got a nomination for Made as well. But yeah, it's interesting. And what's even interesting is that Andie MacDonald's part of the Brat Pack, which Demi Moore was in. So that's very telling. She received praise and nominations for playing Anne Ranking in Fosse Verdon. So I guess she got a little bit, she's been rising to this occasion. She's a serious actress, is what I'm getting at. Like, um, she's gotten some critical acclaim and some praise for her work. She got nominated for lead actress. She got nominated for supporting actress. So she's got some Emmy nominations in her belt. She's won some awards for best supporting actress for Substance. So we'll see. I wish Danielle Deadwaller could finally get an Oscar nomination for her, for her role in the Piano Lesson. But because the Piano Lesson bombed with a lot of award critics acclaim, the critics wasn't really crazy about it. I don't think it's going to happen. But I wish, in a perfect world, Danielle Deadwaller should have gotten an Oscar nomination or some more Oscar love. There's still hope, but I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I'm a little torn there. Again, Selena Gomez might pull up the upset. We don't know. Who knows? Maybe Anjanae Ellis Taylor might surprise us with Nickel Boys, but I don't see it, y'all. So those are my predictions. We'll see what happens on Thursday, but stay woke. In other news, that movie that this one of them days, it kind of bombed at the box office. It seems like it didn't really do too well at the box office. I mean, I guess it kind of did. I guess. Well, I mean, it's subjective. It's subjective. I've been following the box office to see, what did well, what didn't do well. I mean, everybody's acknowledging that Mufasa Lion King is a sleeper hit. It leads one of the lowest MLK weekends of the decade. It made over 15 million. Moana 2, which was only going to be streaming, has officially crossed $1 billion at the global box office. Take that, Disney Plus. They was going to put it on Disney Plus. They almost slept on it. People are asking how Mufasa the Lion King became a sleeper hit, which I told y'all that was going to happen. I told y'all that. I told you that was going to be a sleeper hit based on it, because I feel like Christmas got too busy and people wasn't paying attention. But I was like, y'all, there's something going on here. And I'm so happy at Lion King. So Lion King, y'all are still seeing this movie. Don't play with my brother, is what they saying. It was what they're saying. So One of Them Days actually came in at number 2 at the box office. It only made $14 million though. This box office is really slow, but it is second with $14 million over a 4-day period. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a good high score of 96%, compared to Girls Trip had 91. It seemed like the audiences loved it and the critics loved it too. Girls Trip got the rare A+. But it seemed like a lot of people are really feeling it. Yeah. Mufasa came in at number 1 with 15.5 million. So, it's interesting. And it did better, even though last week Den of Thieves was previously number 1. So Lion King it's doing its big one. Seems like people are still here for it. Look at that. Look at that. Now, don't get any ideas, Disney. I think we don't want any more Lion King material for a couple years, but it looks like the tides are turning. Maybe people had that wrong with the Lion King. I told y'all I went. I liked it. I was excited when I saw it. I just don't know if enough people really paid attention to the impact of what it was bringing to the table. So a lot was said, but looks like the big lion had to roar after all. But yeah. So as far as music goes, Drake has withdrawn his lawsuit. Initially, Drake was going to do a lawsuit against a lot of people. A lot is going on. Drake is just a loser at this point. It's just a lot going on. And, a lot of people are not, I guess people are with, apparently, DJ Academic said that he withdrew his claim that Drake helped LeBron James allegedly cheat on his wife. He said everything he said was cap. All those narratives were not true. I'm just like, so then why did you say that? A lot of people are upset with these lawsuits, these allegations. People, Joe Budden said, which is a clown, said that none of Drake's music hits the same following these lawsuit allegations. Kai Cenat and Mark Phillips were among the streamers named in Drake's lawsuit. Drake is alleging that Universal Music Group allows streamers to monetize not like us in the efforts to defame him, which apparently is not true. Content creators are really pissed off right now. A guy named No Life Shaq basically said Drake snitched on me. He said in the video, this Drake snitched on the reaction community. Dude, we chilling, having fun, and you got to listen to the case. This got to be the softest. I'm blanking out the words he said. A lot of people are pissed off about what Drake has done. You got to remember, initially it was a petition. Now it's a lawsuit. He's even trying to act like Drake is apparently anti-Semitic, which is not Drake. Drake's trying to accuse Kendrick of being anti-Semitic with some of his references. It's just very problematic. I don't understand. So then they said Drake withdraws legal petition accusing Spotify and Universal Music of artificially inflating Drake's Kendrick Not Like Us. So they're saying that he has withdrawn his petition against Spotify and UMG after accusing entities of launching a legal scheme to boost numbers. So apparently there's a new filing, which lawsuit, I guess, shows the company withdrew its order to show cause seeking pre-action disclosure and preservation of certain documents and communications from both companies. The court document explains that Drake this is according to Variety, met with representatives on Tuesday, and Spotify, which had filed an opposition, had no objection to the withdrawal and continuance, while UMG, which is Universal Music Group, which hadn't filed an opposition, reversed its position. So he's withdrawing his legal petition accusing Spotify. So I guess the legal action is not happening. He's going to axe the diss track petition. But there's all these problems, though. Because initially he files, so I guess he's filing a defamation lawsuit over it now. So now he's filing a defamation lawsuit against UMG and the record label, which was filed in New York on Wednesday. It comes shortly after he withdrew. So he withdrew the legal challenge, and now he's suing. So he has filed a defamation lawsuit against them now. This is now what is that filing is not a lawsuit, but a petition for documents in preparation for a potential lawsuit filing accused UMG and Spotify. But this is a new case now. The new defamation suit accuses UMG of defamation and harassment, calling the release and promotion of Lamar's hit track with lyrics labeling Drake as a, quote, certified pedophile, an example of valuing, quote, corporate greed over the safety and well-being of its artists. Now, this is from The Guardian, who's reporting on this. The suit alleges that UMG approved, published, and launched a campaign to create a viral hit out of a rap track that was, quote, intended to convey the specific, unmistakable, and false factual allegation that Drake is a criminal pedophile and to suggest that the public should resort to vigilante justice in response. Yeah, he makes a lot of crazy claims. He said throughout his career, Drake has intentionally and successfully used UMG to distribute his music and poetry to engage in conventionally outrageous back and forth rap battles to express his feelings about other artists. He now seeks to weaponize the legal process to silence an artist's creative expression and seek damages from UMG for distributing that artist music. So this is what UMG, they issued a strong worded statement. They said not only are these claims untrue, but the notion that we would seek to harm the reputation of any artist, let alone Drake, is illogical. He says, quote, this is what the company spokesperson said to Variety in this statement. They said, quote, we have invested massively in his music, referring to Drake, and our employees around the world have worked tirelessly for many years to help him achieve historic commercial and personal financial success. That's true. I don't know what Drake's end goal is. He's becoming a Karen. There's no way that he plans to keep making music. I guess he wants to settle. I guess he wants to sue. I guess Drake realized his career is over, so now he wants to sue everybody and get a settlement and make money and go away. There's no way that Drake can make music and people can support him. At this point, Drake has become literally the person that he said, and literally he's not like us, and he never was, and he never will be. That's that. So, before wrapping up, I want to talk about TV. I mean, I'll talk about Abbott. Abbott is fabulous. This comeback winter break season has been great. Love the show down. I also want to talk about something else. Not Baddies Africa, which is ridiculous. They're going Africa. At this point, I don't know what's going on with them. But I want to talk about something I saw. I got to watch in totality on Netflix, and I highly encourage you all to watch it. Jerry Springer, Fights, Camera, Action. I saw this 2-part little series that is on Netflix. It just came out like about a couple of weeks ago. I got to catch up and watch it. What a series. Part 1 and part 2. They're back to back. They're both 45 minutes apiece. So it's about a 90-minute, 2-hour type of ordeal. It's very good. It's very nostalgic. It's a time and place that, honestly, I argue that Jerry Springer was arguably the worst show on television. The show, we see the rise and fall of Jerry Springer. The first episode shows you the rise. Like, basically, at one point in time, Jerry Springer surpassed Oprah Winfrey Show in the ratings. Like, they beat Oprah as the #1 most watched show, even though this show was complete trash. One thing I appreciate about the documentary was that they was very transparent about how they literally knew it was trash TV and they leaned into it. They was not trying to be fake about it, that this was trash TV. It's very interesting because we find out about Jerry Springer. We find out about his life before, how he was a mayor in Cincinnati, how he becomes a serious journalist. He won 10 regional Emmys. Like how basically he comes on the show, tries to be a good guy, and even though this stuff is crazy, he always was the good cop in the situation. The second part of the show shows the downfall of how Jerry Springer's flopped. I did not know that the final taping of Jerry Springer was in 2018. I didn't even know Jerry Springer had lasted that long because it lasted for 27 seasons, y'all. Like, they've been out since 1991, and they literally went 27 seasons. Like, Jerry Springer finally ended in 2018, and then Jerry Springer had Jerry's Judge Jerry. Remember that show that lasted for only, like, I want to say, 2 to 3 seasons? It got canceled in its 3rd season, and then shortly after that, Jerry Springer died at 73. So, it's interesting what happened to Jerry Springer. Honestly, they say Jerry Springer really, the end of Jerry Springer really was in 2008 when Obama got elected, when a lot of regulations came on the show after that whole Jerry Springer deaths, the killer death with the guests on the show and the death that connected to it. They talk more about that. I don't want to tell it. I want y'all to watch it. It is worth the watch. But one thing I will say about that show and that era is that literally when I went back and watched that show and like all the memories I had about Jerry Springer, there would be no Love and Hip Hop, no Kardashians, no Baddies, no Zeus, no Bad Girls Club. None of those shows would exist without Jerry Springer, which is why Jerry Springer will be the worst TV show of all time, because it laid the foundation for what we watch now. Because Jerry Springer literally said that when people would fight, when they got people fighting, that literally is why the ratings go. People love to watch a fight, no matter how good it is, how bad it is. When people fight on TV, everybody stops and watch a fight. And so they tapped into that cultural zeitgeist. And the fact that they did a show like that in the daytime, like the show would run in the daytime. I remember when I was younger and I went to the barbershop and I remember Jerry Springer used to be on. And when the kids were there, they used to change the channel on Oprah because they didn't want us to see it. But when the kids were not in the room, when we were not in the room, they would have it on. I remember I used to go to my barbershop and I used to go when I was younger in Houston. And I used to go into the barbershop. I remember they would change the channel right immediately when I would come on because that was the whole Jerry Beads. You remember Jerry, and so they would change the channel. I remember when I was little, I used to sneak it on during the summertime. And I remember my grandmother, my goodness, bless her soul, she used to just be like, what y'all watching that? Turn that garbage off. And she wasn't lying. I had no business watching Jerry Springer at my young age. So then when I was young, Jerry Springer reruns used to come on late at night. And so when my grandma was asleep, and we used to sneak up because remember, we couldn't watch this stuff because we was at school, so we couldn't watch it in the daytime in school. And we couldn't watch it because they had bedtime. So I remember Jerry Springer summer was my thing. I would watch Jerry Springer late at night when she was asleep. Me and my brother, we used to watch this, and it used to be like everything. So, you know, Jerry Springer was that show. I used to enjoy me some Jerry Springer. But yeah, it is a bad show. It was problematic on so many levels. Let's be for real. It was very transphobic. It was very, but it was real. So that was the other thing. They said that for the most part, Jerry Springer, when they talked about was it fake or not fake, they really did their part to make it real. And they said there was one time where one producer said, okay, I'll give y'all this much tea. There was one situation where a producer, like, they really wanted to, like, the callers that called in the show, they said that everybody who called us was be real. They said it was one incident where it was a fake incident that took place, and they didn't know, and that these people called in, they set up a diversion of a fake ass acting stunt. And they found out, and they saw it, and they said that literally that producer got fired. Like, that was it, because they were so thirsty for real stories and real situations. They talked about how the producers would really like egg the talent on the show to get a fight to happen. So that by the time they got on the show and they did their thing, but they would get them mad and get them ready because they wanted the show to be hot. It was fascinating. But yeah, it was a fascinating show. But as you can see, this week coming up is about to be real hot. You know, I'm looking forward to City Council Live's return. I'm looking forward to my debut on Fatal Attraction. I'm looking forward to some retreats I got, and to connect with the Lip Brothers. We're gonna connect this upcoming week. Lots of surprises in store. So much to happen. As you can see, this season 8 is already on fire. Love you all so much, and as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.